What is up? What is up? Guys, GameStop is flying. It's flying right now. I was like, we got you know what I mean? Like we got to enjoy this together. If anyone wants to. I'm just saying. 5.9%. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all. Where's the so the screen's going to be kind of like half sized. Volume. Nothing crazy in the volume. So can't say anything's too exciting there. And also, if you just zoom out a week, it's like we're just recovering to where we were a couple days ago. But it's still kind of significant because what we wondered, right, here's this Monday pop, right, closed Friday at 26, open. What's up, Trader? Trader R-Dub? What's up, dude? We popped up $1.50 on Monday morning from the close at 26 on the 19th. And how do I want to share that whole window. Maybe I just redo it. Boom. Window. Here we go. What's up, Daniel? What's up, dude? Hey, what's that? You got those crowns, like the crown number 2, crown number 3. Does that mean like y'all are like faithfuls, regulars on the channel? Benjo with the crown number 1? I'm not a professional YouTuber, you know? Y'all know that. Bro, Ty, congrats, dude. 275 shares at $22 a month. Or $22 per share. Epic, dude. What is up, Benjo? Hey, greetings from Sweden, Kizo. From Sweden, dude. I'm honored. What I was wondering is, what was GME Max Payne on September 19th? I think it was like 25. Okay, 25.50. So last week, you closed 50 cents above Max Payne, and then boom, you get another $1.50 pop. And I think today, what is it today? What is? Yeah, 25.50 again. And so far we're on, I mean, if we close where we're at right now, we're closing an entire $1 above Max Payne, which just makes you think that next week, Paul, are you saying you just sold it all? Are you serious? You saying you sold all your GameStop for $26.50? More power to you. I didn't. I have not sold any of my shares at this level, but I'm not saying I'll never sell a single share ever. But right now they're still so backed by cash, you know? Oh, thanks, Paul. He's joking, dude. He's just joking. You know, right now the market cap at 11.9. And to me, when you're thinking about what cash value of GameStop, like, okay, technically their net cash right now is basically $5 billion. Okay. But here's the thing. 4.5 of that is going to be written off by these convertibles. And I made that video saying how we know, no doubt, they're going to be like those. GameStop will have the option to dilute those. They'll only pay those back in cash if they want to. So effectively, that cash is our cash. Hey, Paul, if you want to sell some, you can sell some, dude. I'm not trying to give financial advice. I'm not trying to risk my firm over over some education and entertainment. And I just run Jimmy, run. What's up, John? I also just want to say, like I mentioned this in my last live stream, but deciding to sell is not a lifelong sentence, right? You could sell 1% of your shares at, let's say it runs up here and it touches 27, and you think, I bet it's going to get rejected at 27 again, like it did Monday morning. You could sell 1% of your shares at 27, not thinking, I'm going to sell at 27. You could be thinking, I want to buy these back when they crash it back to 25 and a half that it was at literally earlier today, right? And you could be comfortable with, but if it goes to infinity, I'll be okay because I'll still have 99% of my shares. And there was a chance that I would have had even more if it had dipped before it ripped, but I am, so I don't want to shame anyone ever for selling, but personally, I'm probably more hyper bullish on GME than anyone I've met. So I'm not like in a rush to sell when it's so fundamentally supported. But if it gets to prices that I'm like, it's hard to justify this price from a fundamentals, I might still hold some. I mean, the Budget for Life Infinity Pool, we're not selling those shares. Some of my personal shares, I would sell some if I felt like the company's not worth this right now, but I bet it will come back down and then I can buy back in. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, Paul, I am a financial advisor, but for me to give financial advice, like it has to be specific to one person with a contract with that person. So if I make a mass, I can't go tell everyone, go buy GameStop. It's undervalued. It's going to go up in value. Like I can't give financial advice to a lot of people at once. And the reason they make the rules like that is because every person's different, right? So they have different thresholds of how much money they make. Like one person might not be able to wait 5 years, right? If they're retired and they're like, whatever. Every person's different. So the government doesn't want you to give a broad recommendation because you don't know if it fits their specific risk tolerance. They could be super just paranoid. Like, I just want to have all my money in the bank. I don't want to own a single stock ever, you know? And that's as an advisor, I can try to work with that person to try to raise their risk tolerance a little bit. Like, hey, I know you're risk averse, but there's this one stock that's not nearly as risky as all the others, right? Like, how can I work with you to try to get your position in GME to be a higher weight? But ultimately, every person has to be their own person. And my job when I work for someone specifically, is I have to have a contract with them because I have to be held liable. They need to be able to sue me if I do something wrong by them. Thankfully, I've never been sued. Not planning on ever being sued because I'm a good guy that does good things for people, right? But that's why I can't give YouTube financial advice because there's not a contract and anyone else could see it too. And so it's not specific to just one person. But it's not that I'm trying to withhold any secrets or anything like that. It's a good question. Why is the media allowed to do it? And I think it's just another example of rules for me, for thee and not for me, or whatever that quote is. As a super small fish, I manage $5.5–6 million of other people's money. That makes me tiny in the world of investment firms, which makes me that much more vulnerable, right? To if I do something wrong, or will the government even bat an eye if they want to shut my firm down? It's like, no, they don't care about my firm. But if I'm CNBC or if I'm a huge company, or a huge bank, then yeah, you have more leeway in this society, I feel like. Trader W asked, cult-like following. How do you price this? Yeah, GameStop's cult-like following. Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen a stock with as high of a percentage of shares that are DRS'd, or even which is one data point that can show you just how intense the following is of GameStop. I'm not saying DRS is the only way to hold shares, whatever, but like another way is like the Staplegate. Like they sold a stapler for $250,000. Like how many companies have ever gotten close to that? You know, turning a little meme moment, a little haha inside joke into there's someone out there that wants to buy that for $250,000. Like that, the fandom is through the roof, right? The amount of support that this company has is through the roof. And so definitely super exciting when you're talking about how you value that into the stock. Ultimately, it's the sales growth. And we're going to talk about valuations. Like I'm pumped to make a lot of valuations videos. And the first one I'll make is probably valuing. So on this valuation tab, I talk about there's GameStop, the retailer, and then there's GameStop, the asset manager. And then you add those together, and that's your valuation for the company itself. But with GameStop, the retailer, there's really three different businesses inside the retail business, right? There's GameStop, the software seller, GameStop, the collectible seller, and GameStop, the hardware seller. By far, the biggest valuation on a multiple basis is GameStop, the collectibles business. And Ryan Cohen mentioned it in his 2025 shareholder speech. I want to see. I'm gonna drop that in to this window here because yesterday I was going through all his speeches and I was like, I wonder what we can learn from his speeches over time. And check this out. We are focusing on trading cards as a natural extension, right? It's aligned with our heritage, fits our trading model. It appeals to the core customer base. It's deeply embedded in physical retail. And then check this out. Unlike software, it's tactile. Unlike hardware, it has high margin potential. So when you think about GameStop's different businesses, it's like, okay, what they like about software is that it has pretty high margins, but there's like, it's hard to make it as a store if all you sell is software because so many of the software sales are digital. And then and the physical side of software has been declining for years. And then you have the hardware, you know, on a dollar basis, they make a ton through hardware. And hardware is physical. But RC is like, the problem is there's no way we can make high margins on hardware. Like even when you factor in our trade-in model, how we're going to get to resell to increase our total margin, like on a brand new Switch 2, they're probably making 3 or 5% margins. But when they're able to buy used Switches and used Xboxes, etc., at a lower rate, sell them for a premium, and rinse and repeat, do that again and again, that can boost their overall margins on hardware. Their accessories are also in their hardware line item, so headphones, controllers, etc., which also help the margin. So it's not horrible, but it's like you're not going to be a super valuable company with margins. And by margin, I mean like this gross margin, like the gross profit that they make from their revenue. So not factoring in SG&A, that's just like company efficiency. But I mean, like, what does it actually cost you? Like, how much money did you have to pay for the inventory that you sold, right? So software, if you're valuing the software business, and we're going to do this soon, but it's pretty much like, okay, here's what it's going to earn. It's not really going to grow super fast because there's some headwinds in the industry, but it's got this type of profit margin. And so that means on this many $1 million of sales, I'll do it in videos soon. But basically it's like, let's say they flatline at 700 million annually and then stay flat or maybe grow 5% from there. I'm taking too long to answer this question, but you got me thinking, Trader RW. It's like, let's say eventually they can get back to 1 billion annualized software sales. It's like, okay, how much money do they make on that? Which I was running some numbers yesterday. I think estimated, this is like super rough math. I think their hardware makes somewhere between 15 to 19% margins. I think their software is like 30 to 35%. I think collectibles is 50 to 60% margins. So on that $1 billion annualized software sales, your gross margin on that is going to be something like $300 million. So that's your not quite your earnings, but that's at least your gross profit. And how much of that do you take out for SG&A? Probably not a lot, but still some, because you'd have to parse out this SG&A like proportionally. Like, okay, what portion of the SG&A is related to the collectibles business? What portion is related to the hardware business? What portion is related to the software business? Well, right now, software, if they flatline at $1 billion or, dip and then come back up, but then flatline at $1 billion of annual revenue, it's like, well, their total annual revenue, let's say, is eventually going to exceed $10 billion. So 10% of the SG&A, if you just do it evenly, is software related. So you got $300 million of software profit, gross profit. And then 10% of SG&A, we're going to say is software, which we know SG&A is coming down, but then it might start coming back up as they scale the business too. So let's just say that SG&A flatlines or comes down, but then comes back up and then stays at $1 billion. I think it might be less than that. Let's call it 800 million, because I really think their cost cutting is going to continue to be aggressive. So 800 million in SG&A, 10% of that's 80. So now you got 200 of the 300 of gross profit annually from software that you think they're going to make in perpetuity. 220 of that is earnings, like operating income, right? And they owe whatever, take 5% off of that for taxes. What's 5% at 220? 10% would be 22. So 5% would be 11, right? Times 0.05. Yeah. So $209 million of net income annually from their software business. I'm getting so nerdy with this, guys. Y'all tracking with this? It's just making sense. And then it's just, what PE do you give their software business? And you see, like, there are companies with, like, Best Buy has been declining in sales and they still have a PE of 18, so I think a low end PE for their software business makes sense, unless we see the grading with PSA really transform software into a collectibles adjacent business, which I think is possible, but we don't know if that's going to happen yet. So I'd say right now, 209 million, give it a 20 PE, or maybe even a 19. Let's say 19 to be nice. I'm gonna actually say 20. The S&P average is like 33. So, you're giving it a huge discount because it's not a high growth line item. And if one day it becomes high growth, then you would start to value it more and the earnings would be more. So it becomes a kind of cascading effect. But literally just take 209 million times 20. That gets you 4.4 billion. Guys, oh my gosh. This is crazy. This is crazy. This software business is by far the least valuable of the three businesses that make up GameStop's retail business, right? And the software business alone we're projecting is worth $4.4 billion, which is literally almost double what the entire retail business is being valued at right now. Holy smokes. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Well, so anyways, then you go through the same exercise with hardware, same exercise with collectibles. We'll be doing this in videos soon. You add those three up together and you get your retail business valuation. And then you still add the asset management valuation, right? And you're going to end up with a pretty crazy total value. Whew, it's pretty fun. But you want to kind of have different scenarios, right? Like, what's the worst case, right? So, like, the worst case with software is worse than what I just described. What I described is like the mid case, like the reasonable average of what you think would happen. But it could be worse than that. Like maybe it goes all the way down to 500 million annually in software sales. And then it flatlines. And maybe the PE they get's only a 15, like the very lowest PE possible, right? I mean, it could technically be lower. Like we know right now, they're already lower on a PE basis, which doesn't make any sense. But all the more shares available, right? All the more opportunity to buy at a good valuation right now. What was I saying? Oh, kind of the worst case for the software business, if they make half as much money and you only give them a 15 multiple, well, now you're looking at $105 million a year income that you give them a 15 multiple. Then worst case, the software business is worth 1.5 billion. And then again, you add in collectibles and hardware from there. But you also have kind of the best case scenario, which is much better than we described, which is what if they actually start growing? Like, what if video games become uh, like a growth industry on the backs of GameStop dominating as a company? Like GameStop just making the customer experience so epic, plus the stock going crazy. If the stock goes to $1 million a share, people are going to just go buy everything in GameStop stores. Like there's going to be so many people that just show the love to the company, right? And also the PSA grading, right? So you have the stock driven software business could become a growth business. You have the GameStop execution and customer delight to where software can become a growth business. And then you have the PSA grading that software could become a collectibles adjacent and it could become a growth business. For all these reasons, it's like it doesn't have to cap out at $1 billion annual revenue, but it could start at $1 billion and all of a sudden, but it's growing at a 30% year over year. And if it's growing at 30% year over year, then you're growing 3 times as fast as the S&P on average on an earnings basis. So if the S&P is getting a 33 multiple, well, how much more of a multiple should you get if you're growing way faster than that, right? And so if you take that same, okay, we're going to start at a $209 million profit, and then you would reevaluate every year because it could grow even faster than that, right? But if you just say baseline 209 and you give it this 58 multiple, well, all of a sudden the software business is worth $12 billion, right? So kind of like worst case 1.5, mid case 4.4, I think it was. Best case 12 right now, right? Or like 1 year out type valuation. So I say best case 12. The best case, the further out you go, it can become worth much more than 12 billion. But when you're talking about is this company a good buy? To me, I don't think you really want to project out, well, 20 years from now, they're going to make blank, right? It's like that's so much time. And the question then becomes like, well, if it's going to take 20 years, why don't I invest in stuff that's going to go off in the next 5 years? And then I'll have even more money to still be early for the thing I think is going to go off in another 15 years, right? It's not a long time to project, but it is a long time to project because you don't know what the world's going to be. It's not a long time to wait if you're young, but what I'm saying is if you're trying to make the most money possible, you might want to say, how can I make the most money in a relatively short amount of time and then roll it into the next best opportunity. But all let's say long term, the software business could be worth well more than 12 billion. But I'm saying like right now, the most you could fundamentally support the software business would be like a 12 billion right now, but that's going to grow if they continue to grow. And that would be the least valuable of all three of these line items. So anyways, and then how do you value it based on the squeeze? That's when you really get into, I just like the stock, right? Like if you think there is greater than a 1% chance of MOAS, you think there's a 90% chance of MOAS, then yeah, it's like if the price doesn't matter, any price it's trading at, whatever they want to say it's worth. It's like if you know it's going to be worth $1 million a share and you're 100% positive, then like you just buy it and you don't even think about it, right? The squeeze is a whole nother game than the fundamentals, no doubt. But it's in play, and I think you should have to pay a premium. Like I think GameStop should sell at a premium multiple because of the potential for a squeeze. Because you have not only what it can support fundamentally, but you also have the chance that it could go to the freaking moon, right? And so I think you should have to, I think that should be priced in. I think their total company should command a higher multiple because of the potential for a squeeze for sure. All right, let me catch up on some comments. Paul, why not just take the money, go all in GME? If it doesn't work, just declare bankruptcy. I'm not sure what you're referencing. Oh, with my firm. Yeah, I can't like take people's money as an advisor. Like it's their money. They don't give it to me. They create a brokerage with our custodian, and then they authorize me to place trades on the account. So I'm managing the money for them, but it's still their money. Like they see every trade, it's in their name. They can take their money out any day of the week. They can fire me any day of the week. Just take your money out and then you're not paying me, right? I'm paid based on the average daily value of the account. And so I'm not interested in my firm going under. I'm also not interested in declaring bankruptcy because to me, like that starts to get into like who I am as a man. And like I don't want to be that guy. Financially, totally it could you can leverage bankruptcy laws to make yourself wealthy and to screw over a lot of other people. But that's not what I'm here to do, you know. Michael says, I'd rather be selling something that may appreciate over time than something which likely depreciates, even if it held on hand may revalue up. Nostalgia has become a business via collectibles. Yeah, GameStop's inventory literally is an appreciating asset. Like, that's something we haven't even talked about yet. Every other company in the world, when they buy something to sell, there's a depreciating value, right? And that's still true for some of GameStop's stuff. Like, whatever, there's some stuff that's not going to be worth more 5 years from now than it's worth now. Like a random stuffed animal for some movie release that ends up flopping in stores or something like that, you know. But like by and large, whether it's consoles, whether it's retro games, which every game eventually becomes a retro game, right? Whether it's the PSA graded merch, like their entire inventory is becoming an appreciating asset, which is, you know, that's $750 million. Not all that's inventory, but about half of this is inventory. $350 million of inventory that's going up in value. And that they're just able to churn and churn and churn, sell again and again. So epic. Yeah, no wonder Roaring Kitty is invested in GameStop. Seriously. He saw it way before I did. That is for sure. But honestly, what he saw is super similar to what Ryan Cohen saw. In Ryan Cohen's letter to the board back in November 2020. Check this out. Not that one. Here it is. Boom. Here it is. Gaming industry is going to go up. GameStop has valuable assets, including a strong brand with a ton of power up members. And so far, right, GameStop has lost a lot of market share, but it has the opportunity to become the premier game destination. And if you go down towards the end, he's like, look, if you just cut your costs by closing stores, if you sell the stores that you don't need, and if you take advantage of this console cycle, Rory and Katie talked a ton about the console cycle. He's like, all three of these things together, saving some money plus raising some money, selling business lines that you don't need, plus raising money, selling this console cycle, all that together, you can take that money to invest in a transformed future GameStop. But ultimately, this was all viable because of GameStop's customer base is the reason why this transformation was possible. And DFV saw it and Ryan Cohen saw it. And I'm thankful that literally 5 years later, we still get to be considered early investors. I mean, I've been an investor since January 21, but I'm saying if you're new to GameStop, you could buy in today and get it, even after all this performance we're talking about, you could get it cheaper now than you could 4 years ago, right? It's just crazy that you could be considered an early GameStop investor in 2025. Like, this should be worth multiple times like what it's worth right now on a market cap basis. And there would still be plenty of upside, no doubt. But like, you shouldn't be able to buy it for $26 a share right now. It's just crazy, and I got really lucky with Tesla. I was not a believer at all in Elon Musk or in the story. And I have mixed emotions about Elon Musk at this point. But what I'm saying is the early people with Tesla were there in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. And I was not interested. And then finally, some YouTubers came out and really just tried to talk level-headed about the company fundamentals. And I was like, okay, fine. I think I'm going to dedicate some portion of my portfolio to Tesla because it just seems like there's no way I lose. Like, it's about to flip and everyone still thinks it's a piece of trash and they don't know like what the company's doing. They're not actually reading the 10Ks. They're not listening to anything the leadership's saying, and anything the leadership says, they just don't even believe the leadership. And I'm like, I don't think they're just lying, and even if they are lying, then you'd have to say they're also lying about the numbers, right? You'd have to say they're cooking the books, which is just a stretch at this day and age, and it's hard to lie about a customer facing business. Like, for Tesla to say we delivered this many cars, it's hard to just make a number up. It's like the cars would need to be on the streets, right? Like, we can see the factory. There were drones every day. Like, YouTube gangsters were flying drones around Tesla's factories, seeing how many cars are coming out and estimating, right? It's hard to just be like, oh, that was all a joke. It didn't actually happen. It was all AI. Like, they didn't even have AI back then, like, anyways. So I got to be an early investor and make hundreds of thousands of dollars on a company that I should not have been able to buy for as cheap as I could buy it. I should have been late to the party. And it's cool with GameStop because right now, we as early investors have the opportunity to invite late stage, late inning investors to buy in at the same price we did, right? Like, you get to be an early investor too, even though you weren't one. Like, we had faith in the company. We had faith in the leadership of the company. You didn't, but now you can just see it. Like, you don't have to have faith anymore. You can just see their numbers and like it's actually already coming to fruition, and you still get to buy it for the same price we did. Crazy. So let's be nice to all the late stage, apes. They're like, I bought GME in September of 2025. Like some of us, like deep down, we're gonna be like, man, screw you, dude. Like I suffered so much for the Moaz, and you just walked in here and got all the upside and didn't have to go through any of the pain. But hey, let's just say cheers, like welcome, glad you're here. More power to you. Hey, thanks, Cody, saying appreciate my content. Thank you so much, Cody. Yeah, Web3 gaming, totally still great point, Narwhal. Like, and NFTs too. Like they've dropped all that. They're like, we're not like they're pretty much like, see you later, see you when the market's ready. But we know those are growth engines to come. We don't know if GameStop will decide to go into them, but like they are growth opportunities. And I think that's the most important part, especially when you're talking about a company that last year, in the whole year, they sold $3.8 billion worth of stuff. To be able to say like, hey, they have so many different choices to how they could decide to grow, so many different things they could start to sell, and they all make sense. It's just what's the best one, what order are they going to do them in, what's going to make the most money. Like that is super it's super important, because it basically means there's 10 different ways you could justify the valuation of GameStop at current levels. And that's important when you're talking about protecting your downside or attracting someone to invest in a company if they haven't already been involved in GameStop. It's like, hey, you don't, like with the Tesla example, you could be like, hey, what if you don't think energy, like you don't think their solar business is going to be worth a crap? It's like, okay, let's just pretend that's worthless. Like someone with GameStop, you could be like, okay, everything I just said about software, you could have the opinion of like, yeah, I don't buy it. This is going to zero. Like it's worthless. I don't want anything to do with that. The only thing I'll value it as is what cash will it generate between now and when it's zero. And even then, it's still worth some money, okay? Because like, okay, well, if it takes 5 years to go to zero, and if the sales decline 15% every year, and at this margin, that means that over those 5 years, they will have made this much in cash. And if we do a DCF, discounted cash flow on that cash, then it's at least worth blank. But for argument's sake, you could say, all right, what if the software is worthless? It's like, okay, great. The software could be worthless, and GameStop is still worth, on a fair value, surely much more than 2.5 billion on a market cap basis for their retail. You could even say the whole retail business is going down. And it's like, great, GameStop, the asset manager, could still more than justify the valuation for GameStop as a whole company, right? Like you just give them a 2 on a price to book, and there's already 40% upside. Like there's so many ways you can value the company. And then especially when you're talking about the retailer, like how are they going to increase their sales, increase their earnings? It's more like, how are they not going to? Like there's so many ways that they can grow. And all you have to do is be a believer in at least one of those. Maybe you think PSA graded cards is a fad. It's not going to be explosive growth forever. Okay. Like at this valuation of GameStop, where the whole company is worth 11.8 billion, you could not care about 80% of what they're doing and still come to the conclusion that they're worth more than 11.8 billion. You know what I mean? And so that's awesome. You love that. PH says GameStop is my savings account. Hey, me too. It's more than, yeah. I like, yeah. I am like, I am a genuine bull. Okay, and people talk about I'm 100% GME. I'm like, yeah, I'm like 300% GME. Like I have borrowed as much money as I can to own as many shares as I can at this valuation. And so like for every 3 shares of GameStop that I own, like I have debt for 2 of those 3 shares. That's not something I'm recommending other people do. And you can suss me out too. Like there's a video I made 2 years ago that I sent to clients I forget what it's called. I don't know if y'all even care about that. But if you cared, you could dig down on my channel and find it. I think it's talking about like rationalizing the price movement on GameStop, or talking about GameStop recent price movement. And I told my clients even back then, like, look, I am more than 100% GME. Like, you're not, because you don't have the same risk tolerance as me. I'm not recommending other people borrow money. In hindsight, I should have not borrowed as much money as fast as I did. Right? I thought it was going to happen in 2021. Like, going back to that question about how do you value GameStop in light of a short squeeze. Like, for me personally, I was like positive that this MOAS was going to happen. Like, this was like, I was 100% sure, right? It's MOAS in 2021. I just thought that I knew that. And so what did I do? If I believed what I said, right? If I really was 100% confident that it was going to be worth thousands of dollars a share, and really MOAS would be like much more than that, right? We were all playing our favorite app game, our favorite mobile game, Calculator, back then. I'm like, why would I not buy every single thing that I can to maximize as much money as I can? And it's honestly it's the worst thing that happened to me was buying Tesla right before the squeeze started, because it made me think I was smarter than I am. And I didn't really realize that so many investors had to hold bags for freaking 5 years before they saw any gains. And I just like, I took the bait, dude. I was in the weeds of Reddit. I was reading tea leaves. Like, I just thought it's about to go up. And I was thinking, like, compared to, like, I was thinking about my experience with Tesla, and I was like, man, I just turned basically a $10,000 portfolio into about a $500,000 portfolio from August of 2019 to like January of 2021, which was epic, right? Like, I was a pastor living on support. Like, my church couldn't even afford to pay me. I had to raise my own funds, like, I was not making a lot of money, but here I am, like, low key, no one knows. I'm not telling anyone. I'm like, I've got $500,000. Like, this is crazy, you know? But as a finance bro, who also, I don't have like, man, I want to own a jet one day, or, oh, I can't wait till I'm driving this crazy vehicle, or like, to me, I'm like, the money doesn't even mean that much to me. I'm just trying to make the right decisions to optimize my returns, right? I'm trying to grow as an investor, because I know that if I can invest, I know I can make more money with money than I could ever make through my work. So I want to get good at making money, right? And honestly, it was the worst thing that happened, because the lessons that I learned in light of what I had just experienced was, what could I have done for this to be even more? And for me, like, Tesla was like a 50, 60% weight. And I was like, okay, well, in hindsight, I wish I could have made that 100% weight, right? And also, I was just in shares, right? And so, like, I was thinking, man, in hindsight, I wish that I was in call options, right? I would have made even more, right? That 10,000 would probably be worth 10 million. And then I was like, man, I was already investing with margin back then, and I had borrowed a personal loan from a bank to also put into my brokerage to then also get margin on that. So I was already investing with debt. But I was thinking, man, I wish I could have invested with even more debt. Like, and those were honestly the wrong lessons to learn. And if I had been involved in the story longer, I would have been able to see that, but I didn't. And so here I was, 100% positive in 2021 that GameStop was going to the moon in 2021. And then I had all those lessons that I learned. Turns out they were the wrong lessons. Okay. But what did I do? I borrowed every dollar that I could. Literally, I maxed out every credit card. I got more credit cards. I got credit cards in my wife's name, maxed out all her credit cards without asking her. Oh, she's forgiven me, guys. Like, this is like, none of this adds to my credibility as a financial advisor, right? It's like, why did this guy become a financial advisor? To help people benefit from what I'm good at, and also to protect them from the ways that I totally failed, right? So I max out credit cards. I get every personal loan I can, and I go 100% in GME, and then I go 100% into GME calls, 125 strike January 22. How do y'all think that ended? Like, I was 100% sure that I was about to be a freaking quadruples of billionaires, and it turns out I had nothing, right? I literally lost everything. So joke's on me. I'm the idiot. I'm not, none of this is me gaining clout, right? This is like me being a, like me being an idiot, right? And then 2022, I'm like, at least I'm making a few $1,000s a year as a pastor. But you know what? I'm going to go into business. So literally, the one income we had, I drop it. Now we have all this debt. We have no investments. And I'm like, I'm going to be a business owner. And here we are, made it through. I don't know how I got on this rant, but 100% GME. Yeah, so all that to say, there are people out there that would say, 100% GME. Like, if you're not 100% GME, then you're not a true ape, which I don't even care. Like, if I'm not here to like convince anyone to trust me or not trust me or whatever. I'm trying to make my content like to where you don't have to trust me. Like, I'm trying to talk about what the company is saying, the company numbers, right? I'm trying to keep the conversation on here's what we know, right? Not on how great am I. All that to say, um, I am not in 100% out of the money, near dated call options anymore. I've learned some lessons since then, but have I lost my conviction on the fundamental story and also the potential for us? No, I have not. And I'm still taking on a high amount of risk in doing that. Like, literally my personal money, right, is more, it's basically 300% GME, right? 2-to-1 debt. And then my clients' money is huge weighted into GME. And with them, I rotated a bit more to try to keep them like sane, because they're not like GME bulls. They're just normal people that want someone to manage their money. But they've been as high as 98%. Like, I have put my entire career on the line to where if GameStop fails, I'm screwed as an advisor. Like, all their money's going to zero. And even if their money only goes down in half, if their money goes down in half, they're not going to stay with me. They're going to move their money to a different advisor like that will just put it in the S&P 500 and tell them everything's going to be okay. And I'm over here like, look, I have to do what I think is right for you. And at this valuation of GameStop, like, I'm telling you, the upside is huge. And even more importantly, the downside is so like negligible. And simultaneously, the macro risks are so high that it just makes sense to be really concentrated right now. But I'm not going to leave you in 90% forever, right? Don't worry. I'm going to take some gains for you, for my clients, right? But deep down for me, I'm like, I'm not selling early. Like, to go through everything I've been through, like, to what? Like, just to get back to, I'm debt free again. I'm like, I didn't go through all of this just to get back to where I was. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I am genuinely as much as you could be like personally at risk and personally have your money where your mouth is. I don't think literally there's anyone that has risked more than me, and that makes me the the biggest idiot on the earth, because it has not worked out so far. But we're finally at the inflection point where the company is fundamentally supporting such a high growth. It's hard not to be excited. And do I regret ultimately the concentration? Do I regret borrowing money? No, I don't. But borrowing money is like, it's kind of similar to buying an option. Like, as soon as you borrow money, basically you're putting a timestamp on the growth. Like as soon as you borrow money, it's not just will the company be worth, 60 billion one day? Will the company be worth 150 billion one day? All of a sudden, as soon as you borrow money, it is will the company be worth more than the cost of my debt? And if it doesn't, even if it's worth even less than the cost of my debt, how long can I float this debt before I'm bankrupt? Right? It's like a lower key call option. In some ways, though, it's a higher key call option because the company could go to zero and you're not at zero, you're at negative, right? You still owe the money, right? Your debt doesn't go away just because the company went to zero. So anyways, if y'all have questions on my personal story, feel free to ask. Let me catch up on the comments here. I don't think GameStop wants to buy TikTok, Jacob. And I don't think they could afford TikTok. It probably would cost a crazy amount of money. Reputable brokers. I mean, back in 2021, like Fidelity got the most love because they're the ones that didn't turn off the buy button. And they seem to be the easiest to process DRS transfers through. So they're probably the most reputable, but they're certainly well capitalized. Like who has the most money, right? I know like I like looking at Robinhood's charts. I do not think Robinhood is like a trustworthy broker. And they definitely take like the execution on their trades is probably the worst. Like they kind of always make you buy a company for a cent or two more than what it's really going at, and they sell it for a cent or two less than what it's really going at. So they always take their cut, even when they say that they're commission free, whereas other brokers really are genuinely commission free. But ultimately, every single brokerage is still under the seed and company. It's still in the world of this is how brokerages work, which is that you don't own your shares, you own an IOU. And so as far as MOAS goes, like it's hard to like if the reason you are in GameStop, whatever portion of this bet that for you is this upper best case scenario MOAS, I think whatever shares you're holding of GameStop that you're holding only until they are worth $1 million plus a share, I think you should have them in computer share. Like I don't think any brokerage is going to I think every brokerage is going to end up force selling shares eventually. I think everyone's going to make a ton. Like I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as January 21. But like for me, I'm like, why wouldn't they? Like if GameStop becomes a national and global risk to the economy again, like are they just going to let it happen? Like I don't think so. I think at some point they're going to say it's position close only, and then if that doesn't work, then I think they're just going to actually force close the positions, and they're allowed to do that. And so if the rules are there where they can, then I think your quote unquote MOAS shares should be like you should probably insure them via direct registration. But you don't have to direct register your shares. And even if MOAS happens, you could have the strategy that's like, I'm going to sell peaks and buy dips, and I'm going to keep riding MOAS all the way up. And so when it goes from 20 to 125, I'm selling 80% of my shares. And then when it goes from 125 to 50, I'm putting all of it back in. And then when it goes to 50 to 1,000, I'm selling again. Like you could just roll it that way. And if that was your strategy to play MOAS, then I'd say you should probably keep them in a Fidelity or in a brokerage that optimizes more for trading. But if you're like, I don't have any intention at all to sell these whatsoever, then I'm like, why wouldn't you go ahead and book them? Jord UFC says that he needs Moa so badly. Yeah, I would not mind it personally either. I would not mind it. I've got over $1 million in borrowed funds. I'd love for that number to be a little bit less, even as bullish as I am. Sitting here at $10 in my bank account, 37K worth of GME. the way. This is the way. Man, y'all remember that? That used to be the saying. This is the way. Grok, Trader RW says, Grok says that GME's price target is 10 to 15 bucks, according to Grok. Yeah, Grok is wrong. Grok is wrong. How many shares do I own? Right now, personal. So between me and my clients, it's definitely a multiple seven-figure position. Me personally, I own about shares. I own 16.7K shares. So whatever, 450K worth of shares. And then I own something like 200 calls that are right now November 21st strikes dates that are worth 35K. And my plan is to sell the higher striked calls to have the money to execute the or convert the lower strike calls into shares. That's just what I'm doing right now. Not saying that's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Not saying it's financial advice. Everyone has to make their own decisions, assess your own risk tolerance, etc. Yeah, if brokers are commission free, how do they make money? That's a good question. You can Google it, but there's a lot of ways that brokers make money. But Robinhood has leaned into arbitrage on execution prices and payment for order flow, as you guys probably know. And there's a lot of other ways brokerages can make money too. It's not the only way. So some ways lead to different outcomes than others. Narwhal, what's up, dude? He bought into GME in 2018 and 2019. So you are the earliest investor in GME I've ever met, dude. Not that I've met you in real life yet, but maybe one day. See you in Valhalla. And yeah, 2021 and 22, GameStop was in a different place. They really thought Web3 player and NFTs were going to be the thing. And they could be, but yeah, it didn't generate the money they thought it would. And they shut it down in 2023. Trying to get out of UK, trying to be able to buy a plane ticket. Narwhal says, I hate call options, but I have some 2027 leaps for GME. Yeah, I'm at this point, after talking about what I've been through, I'm very risk averse to call options, and obviously so is my wife. So I'm not the TA guy. I'm not the just pump the stock no matter what guy. I'm a lot more calculated, which sounds kind of funny because I'm literally 2-to-1. I'm 300% GME right now. But to me, I understand my position really well right now. And I don't understand calls well enough to make that a majority weight anymore. I feel like I've finally learned my lesson. Even though in 2021, when I was 100% out of the money call options, there's probably 3 different times that I had an account net of the debt that was worth over $1 million. One time over $2.5 million. But I literally didn't sell anything. I was honestly, I probably doubled down and sold some calls to buy even nearer money or even nearer strikes. I was like, okay, this is it, like a fool, MC. Yeah, you got to learn the painful lessons firsthand, 100%. And yeah, Michael, I am I never posted on Wall Street Bets. Like, I never felt like I'm the YOLO guy. Like, YOLO is like, I feel like when you're doing a YOLO, it's like, it's a 1% chance and you're going for it anyways, but you might lose your lunch. To me, like, I didn't think I was being risky. I thought that I knew, like, but I was wrong, right? Like, but I was like, I was just trying to do the rational thing. Like, why would I hold any level of conservation when this is a once in a lifetime, once in a history of the earth opportunity upside, like, but it turns out I was being a YOLO artist, and thankfully I've learned a lot through it. And that experience helped me a lot in starting my firm. Like, I started all the filing for my firm in mid 2021 and got approved like November 23rd of 2021, and then started bringing in clients in 2022. And that experience of my, like, that most recent year of my investment journey was really shaping for me, and it's helped me do a really good job for my clients who GameStop's been the largest weight in their accounts, even for the earliest clients who started in 2022. And in 2022, right, they were trading for a little more than they are now, or the same price. And yet my clients are up in their accounts like double what the S&P is. And yet the GameStop, their largest weight, has done nothing on an aggregate basis. Whereas the SPY, since 2022, look at that. They're up 50% just if you bought and hold the SPY, right? And my clients, their highest weight has been GME, which has been flat, and yet their account is up over 100% in that period of time. And it's because if you look more granular, like, there's been, like, back here when GameStop was $10 a share, I literally sent a video to my clients on April 5th, and I was just like clapping. I was like, we did it, guys. Like, it's game over. And it's because GameStop finally reported an annual profit. And so we knew that the risk of bankruptcy was basically over. And so I doubled down on their position right here, and then boom, pop. And then on this pop for my clients, I sold some of their position. I should have sold more and doubled back down here. But I thought this might be it. It might really be going because they're profitable now. But it turns out they've needed to do more to continue to grow and bolster their fundamentals. Which, honestly, if you think about their fundamentals now compared to, when they released that report here, like, they are leagues above where they were then as a company. So anyways, my clients have done well. I don't know why I talked about that anyways. Oh, painful lessons. It's helped me to help my clients, and it's helped me for me. And it turns out I was a YOLO artist. I didn't mean to be. I'm so glad my wife is with me. Like, I tell her all the time, like, you will never get enough credit for the mercy that you showed me in my weak points in life. Like, one day people can be like, oh man, y'all's life must be so great, right? Because we're going to be jamillionaires and this thing's going to the moon, right? All that stuff, right? All the hype. And they're going to look at her like she's some type of trophy wife, or like, oh, you just happen to marry the guy that started the financial firm. Must be so hard. And I'm like, man, Megan, they will just have no clue what you went through. Like, she just deserves so much credit for trusting in me and forgiving me when I screwed up big time. MC says, I'm super risk averse and I'm still 100% GME. I totally resonate with that sentiment. Totally. Michael owns some Bitcoin. Yeah, over $1 trillion market cap, and a lot of tailwinds in the crypto space, and for Bitcoin in particular. How do you balance the risk of the client not holding real shares versus phantom shares? even if you're right on where GME could go. So for the client, like my clients are not in this strictly for MOAS. My clients have entrusted me to manage money for them according to them, and none of them want to hold until MOAS. Like, so even like someone made a comment on one of my videos recently, like, oh, you're a financial advisor, you're just making YouTube videos to try to get people to become your clients, but we don't need to become your clients because we're 100% GME. And I didn't comment it, but like I was thinking, literally, I got a phone call a month ago from a friend who's like, hey, should I transfer my GME to you? Like, should you manage my GME? And I said, no, dude. Like, if if you're 100% GME, like don't pay me to just leave it there. Like you should pay me if you don't want to be 100% GME, right? Like, and not like everyone should. I'm not trying to say like people should hire me, but like this YouTube following, like you guys as GameStop early investors and as GameStop apes, like y'all are the last people in the world that I would think would be interested in hiring a financial advisor because because you already have identified the stock that you want to be in, right? And so, anyways, I'm not in. My big plan with making videos is not to get any of you to become clients, and I don't even know if I would want you to become clients. Like it's an application process. I don't just like take on a bunch of clients for no reason. But if you put in an application and you're like, man, I'm an ape, 100% GME, let's go. I literally would tell you like, keep doing what you're doing. Like you don't need to hire me, Um, so as far as how I manage my clients' risk, like I play the volatility more for my clients. Um, Whereas for me, a higher portion of my shares are related to the best case scenario and the other great case scenarios. Whereas for my clients, a large portion of their shares are related to protection against the worst case scenarios. And so like if the shares start to trade at a premium valuation, then clients will still keep this portion of their shares, right? If the fundamentals still support the growth, but they will lose some of this portion of their shares if the downside, sorry, you probably can't even see this, whatever, it's the same either way. Um, they'll lose some of those shares because the downside protection, if GameStop's at $250 a share right now, there is downside risk in the near term to their stock. You know what I mean? Like that's pricing in execution on the company's behalf, which they would deserve, right? They would deserve, as far as the upside of their company goes, they would deserve a premium valuation right now. But if you give them the premium valuation, they also lose some of the downside protection. And clients would be super happy with that. They're like, great, you just quadrupled my money and sold a chunk at $100 a share. Like they would be begging me to sell at $100 a share. Like they don't want to hold this forever. They don't like how much of a weight it is. They think I'm kind of crazy, right? And I am, honestly. Y'all just heard some of my story. I obviously am kind of crazy. But all that to say, if the best case scenario happens and GameStop goes to $1 million a share and clients got forced liquidated by the custodian at, $10,000 a share, will there be some disappointment? Sure. But like, I don't think there will be much. And the alternative for the client, like if they 100x from $100 a share to $10,000 a share, I don't think clients are going to be mad at me. I think they will be like freaking out that I just made them multimillionaires when they were super humble, modest account sizes, like I don't think they're going to be upset. But if they were upset, like I can't hold shares for my clients in computer share. And so if they want to own some shares of ComputerShare, they can do that themselves. And that would be totally fine with me. If clients were like, hey, I'm going to take 10% of my account out and just move it into a direct registered share, like they could totally do that. But the thing is, the people that hire a financial advisor don't want to self-manage. Like if they hadn't hired me, they wouldn't have owned a single share in the first place, is another way I could say it. Like, so for them to go 1000x, and oh man, it could have been 10,000x, but you only got 1000x because the broker screwed you over. Like, they wouldn't have made a single dollar without me. So I don't think they would feel like upset or slighted to miss out on this. Could have been $1 million a share, because they wouldn't have owned the shares to begin with. But yeah, I can't put it in ComputerShare. I can't manage money in ComputerShare. I can't receive a management fee for that, but I'm totally happy to advise clients on money that they hold in other accounts, even though I don't receive a management fee for those accounts. So anyways, that's kind of how I think about it from the client perspective. Yeah, I mean, GameStop now compared to where it's going to be in 2035, trade RW, just crazy. High upside and downside protection. Negative beta, win-win, very well put. Sold Out asked if like NVIDIA is a cause for the broader market, cause for concern. NVIDIA is huge. Like S&P 500 weight by company. Okay, just tell me. Oh, there it was. 8.6% is what. Oh, this one says 7. So it's 7 to 8% of the entire S&P 500. So yeah, at a basic level, any risk to NVIDIA is a threat to the overall market. Like, 5% in ComputerShare is what MC has. He says he doesn't even know how to sell them. Yeah, I love that. What's the sell button? Yeah, George says if they force sell shares, they're still legally obligated to sell them at the price they're trading at. So I don't think it's really possible that like they sell shares that are trading at $10,000 a share and they force close them at $100. Like, they would have to suppress the price back to 100 and then force sell. And if they got the price back to 100 from 10,000, that means short sellers would have just made a ton of money and they probably wouldn't have to force sell. So I think it's either or. They force sell at a price that's still a huge return, but not MOAS level return, or they short the stock like crazy and rinse and repeat, and we go through another 3 years of GameStop pushing the resistance levels at higher and higher resistance levels, adding more and more pressure to shorts. Every broker is legally obligated to give you best execution. It's part of why Robinhood comes under fire, because they obviously bend the rules. But bending the rules is, we're talking about a couple cents per share. Like Robinhood can't, if you were to go on Robinhood right now, submit a market order for GameStop, like they cannot be like, your order was filled, price 27.02. It's like, they can't do that. Like, legitimately, they will get closed. Or hit with some huge fines, huge lawsuits. Like, it would be insane. So to execute at a price that's, orders of magnitude lower than the current actual market price, would be insane. I mean, it would definitely be a death wish. It'd be a suicide note. Sorry for saying that word. I might get demonetized now. I said that word. I don't think you're allowed to say that word. Dang. It's okay. It's not like y'all hit me with the soups anyway. Could take on the hype videos from Reddit and play it as your intro. Yeah, Jim Cramer. No, I could do a lot to make this a better YouTube channel, but ultimately I'm not a YouTuber, Eventually I'll probably lean into it a little bit, but I'm like, look, I'm I'm not trying to say that I'm more fun to watch or anything like that. I'm just trying to give the fundamental value and give you my perspective as an advisor. And I woke up this morning and we were up 6% or something. I was like, shoot. I was gonna just make some videos. I am gonna make some videos later. I'm gonna hop off in a little while and pump out some GameStop videos. But I was like, I can't not live stream when it's roaring, you know? If I was gonna be sitting at my computer anyways, be different if I was going on a walk. I'm like, oh, it's cool, it's going up, whatever. But I'm like, I'm literally gonna be here making videos. I might as well live stream if it has some fun action going on. But yeah, man, maybe one day some of you guys can help me make some cool like intro videos and stuff, and I could pay you or something like that, and it could make the channel awesome. Would love to work on this channel together and for this channel to be a community win, you know? Yeah, if something's free, you're the product, 100%. 100%. And I would say, like, if something's like, the other way to say that is there's no such thing as a free lunch. And there's two things that are free. One is where you're the product. It's like, okay, it's not a free lunch. Like that car mechanic is saying you can come in for a free maintenance test because they're going to sell you their services, right? That insurance salesman is going to give you a free financial plan because they're going to sell you insurance products. And so, joke's on you, right? The other situation is if something's genuinely free, it won't last. It's like, okay, if this lunch is actually free, well, then I'm going to keep coming back for it. And then you're going to run out of lunch. Like there's not going to be any food left. And I think that might have been what happened with, like, you see, I'm trying to avoid like ever mentioning anyone else's name ever again, but that's what I was trying to get at in my other live stream, talking about how Newton stopped making videos. And I'm like, I was just externally wondering, like, I wonder if him trying to offer a free lunch is part of why it didn't last, like if he had just let himself make 10% of what the channel makes, like, would that have been enough? You want to create win-wins is what I'm trying to say. If you can create a win-win, then there's no reason for it to discontinue and it can continue to last. But as soon as something is offered or presented as free, it's like, okay, well, who is losing? Am I losing because it's not actually free and I'm actually going to get screwed somehow? Or are you losing because you're offering this genuinely for free, but now it's going to wear you out and exhaust you and it's not actually benefiting you in any way? You want to create win-wins, even in normal relationships, even in marriage. Like, I'm not saying you want to get super businessy about a marriage relationship, but like, you don't want a relationship where one person is losing and it doesn't like it. Like, you want both people to enjoy mutually the thing that you're doing. You know what I mean? Anyways, Roy says he's not selling a single share below $1,200. Hey, what a price target. Love it. And he says, don't trade options. Great advice, Roy. Again, I'm not the pro options guy. If anything I said sounded like the pro options guy, then maybe you didn't feel my pain. Yeah, it's true. GameStop didn't get the chance to release its NFT marketplace because the SEC was potentially making it hard for them. MC gave Roy a crown. Love that. Hey, thanks, Roy. He said, I recommend to see all your old videos from the past regarding GME. So you're talking about the old videos, like the ones that are 6 months old and a year old. Thanks, dude. Appreciate that, Roy. Yeah, I've been out here making some videos every now and then when I can't help myself. And again, as an external processor, it's kind of helpful for me to put my words into words instead of just thinking and not actually fully developing my thoughts because I didn't actually externally process them. GameStop could have their own vault. Right now, their PSA or their power packs is being sold from the PSA vault. But yeah, maybe one day they can have their own vault and have even better margins. I don't know if that's their goal. If they can just stay open, like if power packs can just continue to be available, that's a huge win. Like, I know we saw kind of the moment 2 days ago where all these said sold out, which turns out was just kind of a bug because they were flipping from beta to publicly available. They are publicly available now. Like this just flipped. I wrote it down over here. Power Packs launch. So beta started July 29th and it went public yesterday, September 25th. That is so awesome. But we want this to stay available. You don't really want it to sell out. Like, if they can keep sourcing enough cards to keep this business open, and then source enough cards to then have a Magic the Gathering one, to have a Yu-Gi-Oh one, like a baseball one, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and baseball, those are huge, right? Maybe Pokemon and football are the biggest somehow, or I don't think football's bigger than baseball though. Regardless, maybe baseball is harder to source because there's more hodlers out there. I don't know, but like we want them to have as much inventory to sell as there's demand to sell, and if they sell out super quick, it's like that's really, it's bullish, but it's also like, well, now you don't have any more money to make. So for GameStop to have their own vault, if they can source that many cards, that will just be amazing. But I think it might be hard for PSA to even be able to source enough cards to keep up with the demand here, which is amazing. That's booming. I mean, we're talking booming growth if that's the case. Yeah, incorporating Web3 into Power Packs, turning it into more of an online ecosystem, I think is awesome. Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, the SEC prevented GameStop from using the NFT marketplace the way that they wanted to. 100%. So, and will that shift? I think it's already shifted. I think those rules have shifted officially, but we'll see when. I think that GameStop's going to wait for the right time to kind of relaunch that, get their toes back into it. Also, the trading card business is just booming right now. It's like let's keep pouring money in where the money is returning so well, and we can deal with Web3 later. Oh, Sherman Sung, my soul brother. He said I actually lost hundreds of thousands in Genie calls back in 2021 too. Now he's mostly shares and a little bit of 1 year out, 32 calls. Obviously, the warrant came out, $32 October strike. So basically buying himself some extra warrants before the warrants become available. Obviously, the company, by issuing those warrants, is indicating they think they will be worth at least 32, if not 40 or more a year from now. But man, thanks, Sherman. I'm glad we got to go through that together. We were the ones who, if you can lose that much money and learn the power of those lessons, the value of those lessons is dangerous. Most people, Sherman, when they go through what we went through, do not get back up. Like the only thing they learn is that I failed and I quit. And if the only thing you can learn is I quit, then you miss out on the best learning. And so anyway, super excited to see that you got totally hit in the jaw and then were able to rise back up from it, find a strategy that worked more for you. Obviously, I've been able to do that as well, and really thankful to see the other side of it. There were days that were hard for sure. Narmal says, thankful for these live chats. Hard to find someone who speaks on the fundamentals rather than hype and speculation. But he is a believer in swaps. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many ways that Wall Street suppresses stocks, but it is obvious in many ways, many reasons why it is obvious that GameStop stock has been and is being suppressed. And so I wouldn't put like whether it's swaps or anything else. I'm like, yeah, sounds good to me. Like I don't have the ability to predict it, to model it. Like I said in my last live stream, like I can't do what Newton did. Like I'm not him. And whether he's right or wrong, it's almost like we'll never get to know now because he didn't keep making them, So, but regardless, thankful for your comment, Narwhal. I'm trying to make these live chats a safe place, an encouraging place, trying to stay positive, over here. What's up, Justin? What's up, dude? Narwhal's not a believer in Moaz. Okay, so you might be that's another Newtonism. He was not a believer in Moaz. I am, but I totally don't think it's 100% chance anymore. Like I've definitely been humbled, for sure. But Narwhal thinks basically they're just going to keep doing offerings to dilute the float until shorts finally have an ability to exit, while GameStop ultimately makes a ton of money through the offerings. And that's totally possible. 100% plausible. I'm not trying to poo-poo that opinion by any means. And either way, we're here to assess every step of the way through, like, okay, in light of this new dilution, in light of this new money, like what's the fundamental case for GameStop's valuation, in the future of their business? It's not like Moaz is that's not the only thing I'm not only here for that, That was me in 2021. I was only here for that, and I got smacked down by life for sure. Justin says, why aren't we blasting past 27? I don't know, dude, but we're kind of trading flat right now. Like it's bouncing back. So you got to figure this is like a slightly kind of compressing wedge, like lower high, lower high, lower high, higher low, higher low, higher low. Like you got to figure midday, this does another leg up or it does another leg down. I imagine they'd want to crash it closer to 25.5, which is where max pain is. But again, last week, we ended just 50 cents above max pain. And the settlement on that gave us a nice little bump Monday morning. So even if we close at 26.5, that's already a nice improvement from where we closed the week before. Like another 50 cents above max pain. It's basically twice as large of a margin, right? Another tranche of calls that land in the money, not just the 26s, but also the 26.5s and obviously the 25.5s. So I'm not upset at all at this price action. Narwhal says dilution is a pro. I mean, GameStop has said they're going to raise money. They're going to do this. Whether they strictly dilute, it seems to me that they're interested in diluting less. Like they did the raw dilution back when Ryan Cohen first came on the scene. They did some raw dilution in 2021. And then they did a raw dilution in Q1 of 2024. So, overall, they've raised about $4 billion in dilutive money. But then the next $4 billion were convertibles, which are still dilution adjacent, but favorable in several ways. We talked about the convertible bonds and some benefits that they offer compared to a raw dilution. But this most recent quarter, it was the warrants, which are even less dilutive than the convertible bonds, so. Oh, new member. What's up, Ryan? Let's go. Let's give it up for Ryan. Yeah. Show Ryan some love. Dude, welcome, dude. Super pumped. Thankful, man, to have you as a supporter of the channel. And again, every dollar from the channel is just going to the infinity pool. So it's a win-win for sure. And I want to maintain that. So thank you so much, Ryan. I appreciate it a ton, dude. MC says, you spoil us with your videos. MC, stop, dude. Stop. It's too much, dude. Making me blush, MC. GameStop potentially buying whatnot. I don't know. Are there any articles giving that speculation legs? I don't think GameStop needs whatnot, but if they think if they want to compete with eBay, maybe they would buy whatnot. I don't know what's whatnot worth. What is whatnot's valuation? Obviously, it's private, so they're not going to tell you. They say approximately $5 billion. Okay, so they're a rival to TikTok, live streaming shopping. $5 billion is a chunk, and they just raised more money in January. So there's a lot of investors already in whatnot. I don't think GameStop feels like they need whatnot to generate sales. I think they like their omni-channel experience just from having an epic online purchasing store and then the fulfillment centers, aka their physical retail stores. I don't think right now GameStop's going to buy anything for $5 billion. I think before they acquire a company, they want their valuation to start to be fair. I don't think they want to buy their company when they're trading at almost cash value. Because even this 11.8, if you assume that the warrants will convert, will be exercised, then it's basically like they already have 11.1 or 11.2 in cash, including the proceeds from those warrants. And it's like, if the market is unwilling to value GameStop, the retailer, I don't think GameStop's going to deploy their cash, because basically the market's like, the only thing we're valuing is your cash, basically. I mean, basically that's all we care about. We don't think your asset management business is legitimate. We don't think your retail business is legitimate. Obviously, they really do think it's legitimate. They're just suppressing the stock as much as they can to survive another day. But regardless, I think GameStop's until their market cap as a retailer is commanding some level of respect, that the growth that they're experiencing is commanding some level of respect. So probably at least another quarter or two. And I also think Ryan Cohen's waiting for a market crash. I think if whatnot comes crying, I don't know what their earnings are. Does anyone know if whatnot's profitable? It's always believed that whatnot was mega overvalued. We don't even know if whatnot makes money, which if they don't actually make money, then that becomes exciting. Thanks again, Ryan, for becoming a member, by the way. At $2 billion, would GameStop be willing to bail out all the early investors and take over whatnot? And for that to be an expansion for their business? Maybe, but I don't think so, because GameStop is the seller. They are the retailer. eBay and whatnot are not the retailers. They just make a commission on the transaction. They say, hey, we will connect the seller to the buyer and take a fee for that. GameStop is the seller, and they're trying to create a customer experience that is unique, that is a high touch value proposition that delights the customer. For GameStop to be able to control customer delight, they have to be able to control the selling experience. And so I don't think GameStop's wanting to arbitrage grassroots. Anyone who wants to be a GameStop seller, come sell for us. I think GameStop wants to be the fulfillment for GameStop sales to ensure that customers are getting the experience that GameStop wants them to get. So overall, I think probably not. I don't think they want to compete necessarily with whatnot. But if it's at a bargain, maybe they would consider it. Oh, Jay Crispy knew the valuation. What's up, Crispy? What's up, dude? It's definitely a nice channel. I mean, it's has a lot of engagement. Jay Crispy wants to see RC invest in tech. Hey, thanks, Justin. He says, I love it. Appreciate the dedication. I'm here, dude. I'm here. MC saying how much Newton shares that he held. Yeah, he held a chunk, dude. He's made a ton of money. Like, so far, his strategy has been better than the apes that hold from OAS. Like, apes that have been holding, again, on a 5-year basis, have made nothing yet. You know? Like, Newton has been churning, selling calls on all these peaks and getting more and more aggressive with it, and then doubling down on the valleys. And more power to him. Like, he has a huge head start, you know? But if MOAS happens, he's going to lose all his shares at whatever, not all, but however many that he has sold calls against. You know, if he gives a $45 strike, well, great. He's going to trade in his 37K shares for 45 a pop. And he's not going to be upset because that's his strategy. And he's like, I just want cash, dude. I just want T-bills, you know, like, but for the hodlers that are like, hey, I don't have 37K shares. Maybe I have 1K shares, but I'm going to sell mine for $10,000 a piece. Like, well, you might end up catching up and passing Newton in the long run. You know, like, everyone has their own strategy. But yeah, he made a lot of money, and he was definitely what do you call it when you're like anti trends? You know, not just independent, but counter. What's the word? Whatever. By the way, thanks for the soup. Oh, Ryan with the soup joins as a fan, hits with the soup. Hey, super chats come to the front of the line. What's your theory on how the warrants will be handled? I heard some of the shadiest brokers will give warrant print machine. How will that money flow to GameStop? Historical examples. I want to make a video on warrants, but I'm not the warrant expert. I know some people have said the warrants can't be rehypothecated. It can't be a warrant print machine. But I do think personally that there are more GameStop shares in people's accounts than what should exist in the float. I don't know to what extent, but I do think that. And so I think that at least some portion of brokers, I don't think you're going to get a rehypothecated warrant. I think you're going to get the cash value of the warrant and say, here you go. We're giving you the equivalent right now. So hypothetically, you should be able to take the cash value. Like, if you don't get an actual warrant, you should get this $3, you know, put in your account or whatever it is, $300, whatever, you know, and it's like, okay, with that cash deposit, you should be able, hypothetically, to buy a call that's a $32 strike for October of 2026. If you had 100 times the cash value, right? Because the warrant gives you the option to buy 1 share, but a call option gives you the option to buy 100 shares. So if you get the cash value for 1 warrant should be 1/100th of the October 31st strike at $32. And so you would need what, 1,000? You would need 10,000 shares to get 100 warrants. 100 warrants would be worth what 1 call is worth. Is that true? It's crazy. Anyways, regardless, I think it still puts pressure on any shorts because at the very least, they still have to front that cash, which is real cash that really leaves their bank account, you know? I think that's more likely than everyone gets a warrant and now there's more warrants in the float than should exist. But I wouldn't put that past shorts either, you know, like I just feel like it's totally complicit across the governing bodies of our financial industry, you know? So why wouldn't why wouldn't things that shouldn't happen as it relates to GameStop, right? Why would the system be fair in a way that helps GameStop? Like it hasn't happened yet, you know what I mean? Um, but yeah, a lot of people are saying they're going to give warrants, so we'll see if they go back on that and they're like, "Oh, actually, we don't." And we saw this with the stock split, the split as a dividend. That a lot of people just split and they didn't do it as a dividend. And all of the brokers just like said it was GameStop's fault, right? They're like, well, they didn't give us the shit. Like, we're just doing whatever the company says. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Okay. There's too many shares out here and y'all need to close these shorts because it's ridiculous, right? I think you might see similar things like even the shady brokers that are saying they are going to uh, give warrants. If they end up not giving warrants, I think they're just going to say, well, it's because GameStop didn't give us the warrants, yada, yada. And they're going to make it seem like someone else's fault instead of taking responsibility for obviously naked shorting that's going on with GameStop stock. Um, but no matter what, GameStop is only going to get the 1.9 billion. Like, there's not a scenario in my mind where, and that's a good point. That's another reason why I think this would happen, where you would just get the cash value rather than a rehypothecated warrant, is because a rehypothecated warrant would give GameStop more money. Like, there's supposed to be 58 million warrants, which will raise for GameStop $1.9 billion. But if they just let out 100 million warrants, well, GameStop hasn't authorized 100 million warrants. Like, they haven't authorized that level of dilution, right? They're not giving that many shares for sale. And then also, like, even if they did authorize it, that would mean they're raising more than 1.9. So I think there's going to be a hard count on how many actual warrants are given. I think everyone else will get the cash value equivalent, and then it's their choice whether they want to immediately put that into GameStop stock or not. I will say one other thing that I could offer as it relates to my perspective on the warrants is that they are treated like a dividend. Maybe we'll just go into like, so the dividend record date is October 3rd, but you need the shares in your account by October 2nd. That's the ex dividend date or the day before the record date, whatever. So shares that you own by October 2nd, for every 10 shares, you qualify for one warrant. As it relates to what the stock is going to do, if this is treated like a normal dividend, then you will see on October 3rd, compared to the first trading day of the next week, hypothetically, you would see the value decrease in GameStop stock. Now, the thing is, there's still max pain, there's still underlying pressure, and it could very well continue to rise. But normally, let's say a company is giving a $5 dividend, and it's equivalent to a dollar per share of their market cap they're giving as a dividend. Then on the Friday, like, or at least on the Thursday that you need to hold, that stock would trade for $1 extra. So they would trade at 31. And then if you sell on that Friday, the 3rd, you're still entitled to the warrants. But hypothetically, what you would see is on that Friday, the 3rd, and or on that Monday, the 6th, you would see that stock go from 31 to 30. So they basically try to eliminate the ability to arbitrage dividends just with companies in general. Like, hey, if you're going to buy this stock on the day that you need to hold the stock for the dividend, and then the next day sell the stock, you're not going to, they try to make it to where that doesn't like make you money. Like, the stock's going to go down according to the same dividend value on the day after the record date. So you're just going to end up net neutral. Hey, it's pumped. Let's go. Let's go. We just crossed that lower high at 61. So all that to say, what it's going to do near term, I think it has more to do with how many derivatives are out there, max pain. So if GameStop closes the third at or closes the second, the day before the third at 31, I don't think it ends necessarily at 30 the next day and even if it did the next day, if it closed at 30, the amount of in the money options that then hit and add another tailwind to the stock, like the dividend's so unique because so many people already hold calls. So like the more that GameStop climbs up towards 32, which I think is going to happen sooner rather than later. You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be September next year and we're like, oh gosh, I hope they cross over. You know what I mean? Anyways, um, I'm lost where I'm at in the chat, but that's really all I have to say on the dividend. I think I don't think it's going to be rehypothecated. I think you'll get cash value if you can't, if the broker can't fulfill it. I think they'll pin it on GameStop, and I think the warrants will be a tailwind to GameStop stock. I think it will cross over 32 sooner rather than later. I think that will add pressure to call options that are landing in the money. And I think more and more people are going to be exercising those call options too, rather than just selling the calls. And I also think, honestly, a sneaky aspect of these warrants is I think you're going to see a tick up in direct registered shares. Like for me, I had been holding shares in Fidelity, and I was like, I just don't want to risk missing out on the warrant dividend. Like I'm going back over, and so I sent them all to ComputerShare and they're there. And I'm like, sweet, like I'm going to get my warrants for real. I'm still going to have some shares in Fidelity to see if the warrants come through because I'm curious. But I'm curious on GameStop's next 10Q in December. Do we see a meaningful uptick? Because it's been like on the slow decline for the past couple years, the direct registered shares. But they just started reporting the difference between the ones that are in book and the ones that are in plan, which I think is super interesting. And anyways, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a tailwind for GameStop direct registration. And the more and more of the shares that get pulled out of Seed & Co., I think that also does add a lot of pressure to shorts, especially if they're in book rather than plan. So super exciting to see what's going to happen with the stock. I don't think we're far away from like it's super exciting again for real. You know what I mean? All right, let me try to keep catching up. Thanks guys for the interaction. Sorry if I'm talking too long and not staying current enough with people popping off. Newton called RC a coward. Yeah, tough position to hold, Newton. If I had to pick between do I trust Richard Newton or Ryan Cohen, that is not a close call. I'll take Ryan Cohen. Narl says, I feel like you are filling a void of the company. So GameStop as a company being so quiet, I'm here to try to help fill that void. And yeah, I think it's a huge point. Ryan thinks in terms of fundamentals. I'm going to make a video about that soon. Just highlighting everything Ryan Cohen has said in all of his shareholder meetings and finding some Easter eggs that he laid for us and just testing the execution of him as a manager. It's going to be super awesome. Question. Okay, I think I'm kind of back to where I was. Yeah, they could. Yeah, Narwhal has some more thoughts on whatnot. I'm not saying they're not interested. I don't think it's the top of their list, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think it is a relatively logical expansion, but I think the price point and the timing is just not right. When GameStop does squeeze, what's your exit strategy? What are the signals you're looking for? I'm going to be making videos. Like I'm going to keep letting people know how to justify the current valuation of GameStop. And I'm going to keep letting people know how GameStop fits in a balanced portfolio and what type of risk tolerance would you need to have in order to stay at whatever weight you are. Everyone's their own person. So I'm not going to try to like give trade signals. Like that's not really my thing. And again, I'm not trying to cross the line of giving financial advice. I don't want to tell people what to do. And again, if you were like me in 2021, well, if you're 100% sure that the squeeze is going to happen and you're 100% sure it's going to happen this year, then you should not sell, period. Just like it's just going up, up and to the right. Don't sell a single share. But if there's some portion of your investment that's more interested on how is the retailer performing, then just like we did earlier with software, you can do that for each of their businesses and we'll have the current numbers each quarter as they go on. And okay, based on the growth rate now and what we can project now and what we're doing with how much money they have in the bank and their growth as an asset manager now, and have they deployed any of that cash? And if so, how do you value those businesses? Like you'll be able to have kind of here's the bottom, this is the lowest fair value. This is like fair, what you would expect it to be worth. This is like kind of the best case it could be worth. And if it's trading above the best case, then I think you should at least trim. It doesn't mean you should sell out. Like, and especially if you're holding for MOAS, any of the MOAS shares, you shouldn't sell any of those. You know what I mean? Like if it's trading at 500 a share right now, like if it's trading at 500 a share, it becomes that much more likely it could go to 5,000 a share. And if it's at 5,000 a share, it becomes that much more likely it could be at 50,000 a share. Like it becomes a like a cascading event, right? And so as far as the MOAS shares, I think the more that MOAS happens, I'm kind of like an infinity pool. I don't know, like I kind of identify with that line of thinking of like, what I mean by that is the only shares you would sell, the only MOAS shares you would sell are the ones that you think you can double back down in. Like if it's at 500 a share, I do think it becomes much more likely it could get to 5,000 a share. But I also think that it's not going to be a straight line, right? And if it's 5,000 a share, I think it's likely it could get to 50, but I think it's also likely they might crash it back to 2 before it goes to 50. And so I think those are the only, like what percentage of your MOAS play is it's already locked? And then what percentage is you want to rotate? You know, if I have 100 shares at 5,000 a share and I sell some of them and the others are locked away, let's just say you sell half. So 50 are locked away, 50 you sell at whatever, 5,000 a share. If they crash it to 2, then you put all that same money in and now you have 75 shares plus the 50 you've already locked away. And now you ride that 75 to 50,000, right? And then you might say, okay, this 50,000, I'm going to sell 25 of them, or I'm going to lock 25, or however you want to do it. You know, like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do by any means, but what I'm trying to say is I'm going to keep making videos all throughout the journey. So you're going to know what I think as far as GameStop's fundamental value. And to whatever extent GameStop's trading price exceeds its fundamental value, you just have to be aware of your downside risk. It doesn't mean that the fundamental value wouldn't be able to grow into the trading price. Like, hey, it's worth 50 billion right now. And okay, that might be a little rich, but within a year or two, I could definitely see how it could be worth 50 billion. And it's like, okay, well then just buy it, you know, like, but if it's at 5 trillion and you're like, I don't see how it could really ever be worth 5 trillion. And if it could be, it might be like 50 years before it's really fundamentally worth 5 trillion. It doesn't mean you should necessarily sell, because it's like, well, if you're just talking about short squeeze, well, if it's already at 5 trillion, it might be at 10 trillion, you know, like, but I think the more and more that the further and further away you get from a fundamentally supported valuation, the more that you just want to be aware that like this is a short squeeze and there are risks that increase with that, you know. What's up, Nick? What's up, dude? I know you probably commented that 5 hours ago, but what's up? I'm seeing it. Yeah, video games. I think you're talking about video games growing, or maybe you're talking about Whatnot, Crispy. Oh yeah, you're talking about Whatnot. Yeah, I mean it's growing. It's popular for sure. Wesley thinks Newton bailed because his model fell apart. Could be. I think he's just, I mean, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about other people. I feel like I've learned my lesson with that. I'm not trying to speculate on things I don't really know. MC, he says, I want MOAs to be real, but he doesn't think the system will allow it. So he's trying to position himself accordingly. Way to go, man. You got to respect yourself. You got to respect yourself. He thinks we'll close at $25.99. It could be. I think we'll close above 26 at this rate. I don't know. I don't know though. It opened at 25.4, so or 25.5. Yeah, the dilution. Honestly, GameStop's dilution could have been we're trying to give short sellers an out to cover their shorts. GameStop dilution also could have been we are baiting shorts into doubling down on their shorts, right? Like, oh, if we give them an inch, they'll take a mile, right? So if we add more shares, they're going to just increase and delay even further their short position. And we're going to catch them whenever those shorts come due, or whether it's swaps or whatever. Like, we're going to position ourselves as a company so much better in light of this dilution, and you're going to be in an even worse position than you were before. So it could be a trap for shorts, the raw dilution that they did earlier. In 2021, I don't think it was even about like we're trying to trap shorts back over here. I think they were just like straight up, we need some money. Like we're about to bleed money, right? We're about to bleed $1 billion, or whatever, $700 million over the next 2 years. Like we need a cushion because we're about to start investing that money into our tech, our UI experience, our talent at the high end, spending money to close down stores. So that dilution, I think they just needed the money. But maybe that early 2024 dilution was just a bait for shorts. Right here, Q1 to Q2. They're like, hey, you want to bet against us? Go ahead. It's not going to be long before we make you feel that heat. You know what I mean? And the heat's turning up. It's turning up. Beckett Cat, I don't think I understand that. He says, my FA goes further back than yours. Would you like to yoink some data from it? Oh, are you saying like your financial analysis? Like your personal spreadsheet? No, I don't really care about further back because it has no, like, it doesn't inform me on the current valuation of GameStop. I only really included these couple years back to just be able to paint a picture for where the company has come. But like, I didn't even parse out these quarters because this wasn't under Cohen's leadership. And Cohen even said, like, in his speech, in his first speech that he gave, this is June or whatever of 2021. He said, we ushered in a whole new era of GameStop. And then he said, we're trying to do something no one in the retail space has ever done. But this whole new era of GameStop, combined with that letter he gave of like, we're trying to get you to transform as a company, right? Like GameStop must promptly pivot. So as far as what was GameStop doing in 2016, I'm like, he's told you in a lot of different ways that like, that's not who they are anymore. But I do appreciate it. What's up, Karen? Karen, welcome to the fans. Hey, super happy to have you representing the female GME investors. Probably you might be male or you might be, do not disclose, but regardless, thank you for joining the fans. Thank you so much, Karen. Super glad to have you. Super excited for you to engage with the channel and to support this company that we're all really invested in, really interested in. Oh, and here's your first comment I didn't see. We'll have to see how those warrants work out and go from there. Yeah, possibly keep doing it again and again. 100%. There's no reason to think that they will stop raising money, period. And how they go about raising money, I think they're going to keep changing it some to just keep shorts guessing. But definitely like interested to see how they pay from there, how they raise money from there. Ryan says he'd consider the top member plan, but he refuses to pay anything to be considered a friend. LOL. You should consider changing the name of that level. I could change the name. You're right. So, but I'm not trying to like trick any, like, I'm not trying to like get you to do it. You know, I'm like, oh, I got to change that name so I can get Ryan. Yeah, I would say like the only clarity I would offer is like a friend of the channel. I'm not asking you to pay to be my personal friend. None of my friends pay me to be my friend, right? But I'd say that the way to kind of engage with that, with the channel, Budget for Life channel, like, which comes with a little bit more access to me. So obviously I'll share the spreadsheet with you, but I'd say friend of the channel is maybe a little different in your mind than Jeremy's friend. But regardless, I just kind of thought it'd be great if they all start with F, you know, and YouTube will let you have 3 levels. So I was also thinking like, okay, if I have fans and friends, like one day, what if I had some type of super premium experience? I don't know if I ever really will, but like if there was a 3rd tier, maybe I would call it the fam, like the channel fam. And I don't know, right? It's not like I don't have any plan to do that. I don't even know what I could offer that would be worth that for anyone. And I'm not just trying to like price gouge people for no reason. Um, but I thought it'd be cool if they all started with F. That was my only other thing. But I'm not attached to it. I could change it. Jay Crispy says, thanks for your thoughts on Whatnot. Yeah, there's also Shopify, Etsy, Create. I mean, GameStop's slogan is power to the players. So I do think they have a desire to kind of empower people in all sorts of ways. I think they kind of leaned into that with their NFT marketplace. I think that's what's going to come back. I don't think it's going to be necessarily that they want to buy Etsy or Whatnot or TikTok. I think the way that they're going to give power to sellers, power to the players, power to the enthusiasts, power to the collectors is going to be through their own peer-to-peer marketplace that they create. So I think they've already built a lot of the infrastructure for that. They're just waiting for the right time to launch it. Jay Christie says they're already selling on Whatnot. Hey, that's super insightful. I'm glad you know that, Jay Crispy. Thanks for sharing that. CrossFit George, what up, dude? Welcome back with the GameStop custom emojis, because you know CrossFit George is a member. Oh, by the way, I got a new I got a member shout out that I haven't done yet. Member shout out over here. Where is it? What's up? I'm live streaming right now. What's up? How do I do this? Oh, I need to go to studio. Can y'all tell that I'm a professional? I'm a professional. Memberships. Boom. Okay, so Karen and Ryan, y'all just joined. We also got Andy. Andy, just so you know, in my mind, I call you Andy Taters, even though I know the TRTS, that doesn't actually make sense. It should be TTRS if you're Andy Taters, but I call you Andy Taters. Join as a friend. He's on the sheet. Hey, what's kind of cool with these live streams is if you are a friend of the channel and you happen to also be on a live stream, you could hop on the spreadsheet with me during a live stream and it's like, oh, what's up? You know, like what you checking it out? Glad you're here, dude. Against the grain. Yeah. Whatever that word I was trying to think about with Newton. Still not sure what exactly the word was, but y'all know what I mean. He was an independent thinker for sure. Contrarian. That's the word. That's the word I was thinking of. He's a contrarian in a lot of ways. Yeah, Mayo memes. Mayo man. Gotta love it. Okay, Narwhal's coming in with BBBY. So yeah, I'm not really here to talk about BBBY, but they are offering warrants, but also that's Overstock that bought the Bed Bath and Beyond brand through Bed Bath and Beyond's bankruptcy court. The current BBBY and the owner of Overstock, whatever his name is, I forget. He's been Mr. Anti-short seller for decades. So I'm not surprised that he's like, oh, GameStop has an idea to put pressure on shorts. We're going to do it too. But I don't think it's some type of like clue. I don't think GameStop has any relationship with Overstock. I think Ryan Cohen might still have some interest in the shell entity of what used to be Bed Bath & Beyond DK Butterfly. I know some of y'all do not think that there's any way that he still has any interest in it, but that shell entity is still in bankruptcy court. And you can't buy shares of that shell entity anyway. So it doesn't matter to me if you think that it is going to come back or not. Like I can't get the money back that I sank into BBBYQ. So I don't care. But all I'm saying is the current BBBY ticker is not related to BBBYQ, which is now off the shelf DK Butterfly in bankruptcy court. And I'm not particularly interested in Overstock, like as a company. Maybe I could be one day. Justin wants to exercise his warrants even if GameStop is below 32. You totally can, dude. I definitely have done that before. Exercise out of the money calls, thinking I'm gonna like burn the shorts. Turns out all I did was burn my money, dude. Like, I don't know. If we had a lot more money, like if you were DFV and you did that, I think it could really put some pressure. But at our types of dollars, I just don't. I don't think it makes that much sense. Yeah, they are dilutive, but you have the opportunity to not be diluted if you exercise. Yeah, maybe Craigslist. Maybe that's the peer-to-peer marketplace that GameStop is after. That would actually be so funny. Slouchy Rhino says, what's your favorite book? Oh, okay, so Benjo says sorry, before that, Slouchy. The October 26, 32 calls trade for $4.35 right now. So you should get $4.35, right? So if you actually bought that call, you would pay $435. They because it's per 100 shares when you actually buy it, but they show you the price based on a per one share. So $4.35 should be what you would get for every 10 shares of GME that you get if you are not given the actual warrant. So if you want to price out approximately the amount of cash you get in case your brokerage kind of screws you over. But also, if you have enough of those dollars, you can roll that into GME shares or GME calls if you want to hold them. But obviously, it would be more fun to hold the warrants, which is why I went ahead and DRS booked back. I used to be 100% DRS booked before, but I went ahead and went back to it because I really want those warrants. I think it's going to be so cool. My favorite book, that honestly, like, that's a good question. I feel like there's books in different categories. There is a book about money that I read in 2020 called The Wealth Elite. That's just a research paper. But it's talking about basically, it's a really nerdy book talking about the people that end up being worth $200 million plus. Like, what can we actually get data, like statistical evidence, not just interviews, but like, can we measure if there is anything common between them? What type of propensities could lead you to where it's more likely that you could break through into that kind of tier of wealth? Because obviously the tier of wealth where you are 20, 100, 200 mil is very different from your quote unquote everyday millionaire that works, saves, retires with a paid off house and a 401k and a net worth of $1 or $2 million. A lot of respect for that path as well. But the book gets into like, there's a different tier beyond, career employee, career corporate employee that has a much higher upside, but it's not for everyone. And pretty much if you don't share some of these common traits, it's really all you need to know that you probably shouldn't aspire for something like that. So anyways, I enjoyed that book. It's not cringy. It's just very educational. It's not like self-help. You can go make a bunch of money. It's just actually trying to inform you. Recently, I've been learning a lot more about like trauma and like heart healing work, anxiety, CPTSD. So I've been reading books about that have been like super encouraging for me and helping me make some more sense of my life and my choices. So, yeah. Yeah, Dylan Mao, or however you say that. He says, look at TradingView, not Robinhood. I know, dude, but I look at Robinhood. I'm not a technicals guy. I'm not micro trading. Like I'm not using this for price alerts, When I'm talking about trades, I might swing trade based on valuations, based on what's fundamentally supported, but I'm not interested in the granular level of charts because it's not my forte. It's not my expertise. Also, I don't have any money in Robinhood. So like, I don't feel like I'm helping Robinhood. I feel like I'm costing Robinhood money. Like I'm going to use your service and I'm not going to give you a single dollar. So, haha, I'm doing my part to chip away. I'm loading up their servers without giving them any profits. But hey, I totally respect, TradingView is a much better platform for traders. No doubt about it. Pricing in the future, Nathaniel, great question. Again, we'll talk about more valuations to come, but I think it's not hard to envision at least a $100 billion, if not much more than that, fundamentally supported valuation of GameStop. Like a 10x is easy to me as far as fundamental support. And I think a 5x is almost like already fundamentally, like it's like should already be about 5x, which means where could it grow to? Like, are you saying that basically if it's trading what it's worth right now, 5x, that 5 years from now, it's only going to be worth double that? I'm like, no, it's probably going to be worth more than a double over the next 5 years because they're just at the beginning of some explosive growth. And so, yeah, 500 bill plus, like it's totally. And then if MOAS happens, like GameStop's going to make a ton of money, not just through their stock, but also through customers that are going to increase the rate that they're buying from GameStop. Like the flywheel effect that the stock is going to have on the company that then increases the fundamental value of the company that then puts more, tailwind more tailwind, more winning GameStop sales as far as what they should be valued at. That then puts even more pressure on the stock. That then makes people even more money that they go buy even more stuff. Like, who knows how high it could go, even from a fundamental perspective. But I try to think about like, what can you project from like, what can you really know, even from just a 3 to 5 year window. And that's like the solid ground you can stand on that like, there's almost like no way it's not worth at least blank. And is that a scenario you're comfortable with? And then the upside, we're going to get more and more clarity on the upside. The more quarters that go on, because we're going to learn about the collectibles business growth from power packs, from Legos, all of the above. And we're going to learn about their cash growth, how much money they raise, how fast do they raise it. And then we're going to learn about their cash deployment. What do they actually do with their money? And those 3 things are going to be super telling for the trajectory for their company, and how you can value it from there. So super exciting. Soulcatcher says he's going to capitalize on the squeeze and buy back in after it comes down. Yeah. And here's the thing. If it squeezes and comes down, it's probably not done. It's not like if it squeezes, oh, every short seller is out. Like that's all that's ever going to happen. It's like if it squeezes once, it's that much more likely it could squeeze again. And so when you buy back in, like you might be able to rinse and repeat that many times, you know, I don't know, like, and it might go to that forever, like for the next 50 years, right? Where it's just like, oh, it squeezes. Oh, it's down. Oh, actually it's even higher, like it's going to be a really fun ride that we get to be in. It really is not just a generational, but a lifetime opportunity of a company, not just because of the company, but also because of the grave that short sellers have dug themselves into. That's been a deeper and more consequential grave than I think has ever happened with any company ever. Ryan says GME should be at least 50 to 100 in a year or two. Yeah, I'd say they should be at least 50 to 100 like now. That's what I would say, as far as like a per share basis. Ryan asks, how long will the rest of the market pump? Can it pump infinitely? I don't think it can pump infinitely, but ultimately I think GameStop, the way that inflation is going, like inflation usually boosts stock market valuations because cash becomes worth that much less. And as a result, the stock price goes up of companies just because the relative cash value is declining. So you almost need the asset value to grow so that net of inflation, you still make the same amount. So equities could rise higher. And it's certainly the government's goal. It's the globe's goal to avoid crashes. I don't think they necessarily want that type of cleansing of the market froth. I don't think they want that to happen. But GameStop could be the Trojan horse that busts the market bubble. Because ultimately, GameStop can control how GameStop performs. GameStop can control this, and this going up is going to require these valuations to go up. And the more and more that shorts are still out there, the more and more pressure that adds. And then we saw what could happen with a short squeeze back in 2021, where once forced closing actually happens, like, yeah, who knows how much GameStop could go up and how much collateral has to be sold for those shorts to close. It's like, who knows how far the rest of the market could crash. But I almost feel like GameStop's outperformance might be what has to happen to force the market to crash. Whereas I used to think the market's going to crash one day and then finally GameStop's going to go up. That could happen too. A black swan event could happen, but I don't think the market's crashing outside of a black swan event. I think they have too many levers they can pull. But what I'm basically saying is GameStop's outperformance might end up being the black swan event if shorts haven't gotten themselves out of their hole, and I don't think they have. Ryan's got love for Newton. So does MS13. Yeah. Like I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater at all. Anytime I talk about someone else, I'm not trying to say anything's better or worse about anyone else. If anything, I'm maybe trying to clarify, like, here's what I like, or here's how I align, here's how I'm different. But even the differences aren't like bad. Like my wife, her personality is a lot more reserved than me. That's just a way to describe that how we're different. It's not like, why'd you say that about your wife? You know what I mean? I'm like, no, I'm just saying something about her, and she's comfortable with that about her. Like me saying I'm 300% in GME, I'm not saying it's bad if someone's less than that. I'm just saying here's one way that we're different is I have a lot higher concentration, and more of my neck, more of my future and my present is basically dependent on, my chips are already in the middle of the table on the continued fundamental outperformance of this company, and if someone else has less of their neck on the line, respect, like I'm not trying to say I'm better or worse or anything like that. So yeah, there's things that are, like, Newton totally deserves love and respect for, and I could never be him, but I liked listening to him. He's a nice voice, like super kind, and he's, we're not the same person, but I hope I get to meet him. I hope I get to meet all the different GME influencers one day, and one day we can all like give each other hugs and be like, what's up? This is crazy. MS13, welcome, dude. Welcome to the fans, bro. Sick username too, by the way. Man, pumped. CrossFit George says, really? I thought we were friends now because I paid you. Yeah. Bro, we could be friends one day. I'm just saying I haven't met you, but like you're a friend of the channel. You're the closest thing that we can be to friends through the internet. You know what I mean? I'm doing my best to be accessible, but I'm just not trying to make people feel like if you don't pay me money, then you're an outsider. Like I want everyone to feel welcome and loved, supported here on the channel. Anyone that supports through membership, I appreciate it. You help the channel, but also anyone that just comments, engages, likes, like if you're just even lurking, like you're still helping, so I appreciate all you guys for sure. I'm not trying to tell any of y'all that you're not my friend. But I'm also not trying to be like, this is how much it costs for my friendship. Cause that's, it's kind of weird. Narwhal wants me to create a Discord. I'm not going to create a Discord. I don't know. I've had Discord before. I just don't really like the platform. Like, it's not that intuitive to me. It's too much going on. And sometimes they're just associated with weirdness. Like, I don't want to have a private group. Like, the private group I have is like, I don't have a private group. But what I'm saying is I have private one-on-one relationships with my financial advising clients. But like as a YouTube channel, like I don't want to have like here's the elite crew that is telling secrets that other people can't see. Like I'd rather you just engage with the channel, comment, on the live streams, comment on my video comments, like, and I can respond to you there. And even for the friends of the channel, like I don't have like a here's the club that now you get to be in that no one else is in, because I don't want anyone to feel excluded from the channel. Like I don't want that. I don't want to create like elitism within certain circles or anything. Oh, you're right. Patrick is not part of Overstock anymore. That's totally true. Thanks, Narwhal. My mistake. Still, I'm not personally super excited about Overstock as a company, but yeah, definitely not Patrick at the helm anymore. Trying to catch back up. Mr. Beakers, what's up, dude? What's stopping the powers that be from continuing to suppress the price forever? GameStop. GameStop is what's stopping them from suppressing the stock forever. The articles like could be negative forever, but GameStop is making more and more money. Oh, what's up, Frederick? Bro, Frederick's, well, I don't know. The soup didn't come to the top of my chat thing, so I'm just now seeing it. I can't even pull it up. How do I pull up your super thanks? Like, or is that where it actually ends? How can? Oh, okay. He says, who are the shorts? How does it happen? How can management let it happen? Is it just a few guys in the top of the company who know about it? How many people know about it? And how can this information not get leaked? What do you think? I think every who's who in Wall Street, the elites from regulating bodies to investment banks to credit rating agencies, just like we saw in 2008, I think they are all complicit to the large overpaid consultants. Like I think they're on the same team, right? And so I think like everyone that's not GameStop, I'll kind of tie this Frederick question back into the Beaker's question. Like everyone that's not GameStop was all prepared to make a killing when GameStop failed, right? Everyone was on the short side of this bet. And then Ryan Cohen came in and said, hold my beer, and DFV came in before Ryan Cohen did. But without Ryan, I don't know if DFV is DFV without Ryan Cohen. I think they probably both needed each other. But regardless, GameStop doesn't have to burn the shorts in the term. Like Ryan Cohen said, let them short recently in an interview. Like, I don't think it's his goal to like, I must make the manipulators stop manipulating me, because the manipulator is like the whole system. It's literally him versus the whole world. And so it's a losing bet if you turn that into a personal fight, me versus you. Instead, he has said, I'm just going to force your hand by crushing it as a company. And if this company is generating millions or one day billions of dollars of cash every year in income, is raising billions of dollars every year in cash from different ways they can raise money as an asset manager, and if their growth is projecting to make even more and more money every year, well, those billions of dollars at the very least have to be valued at cash, like at net cash value. And we're finally at that threshold where they've got 11.3, 11.2 billion once you factor in the warrants being exercised, and they're only valued at 11.8. And Ryan Cohen's like, well, what happens when I raise another 5 billion and net another 500 million in profit? Like, you're going to tell me the market cap's not going to be at 16 when I've got 16 in the bank? He couldn't do it before because there were steps the company had to go through first. They had to hire the leadership. They had to make the website better. They had to get their product mix right. They had to pay off their debt. They had to identify collectibles as the opportunity to grow gross margins. They had to close stores and get their SG&A down. But now we're finally seeing all these crescendos happening simultaneously, where he's like, guess what? The stock's about to go up, right? Like, the value is so present with GameStop. And so all that to say, I don't think they wanted to. I think he might be interested in forcing the short seller's hand now because of the fundamentals and the progress of the business. But he's not necessarily interested in forcing the short seller's hand, like, ever. You know what I mean? Like, he might still only care about the fundamental performance. But regardless, I think he definitely did not want to force the short's hands earlier, back before the fundamentals were ready to support any, and that still might be his position, but he might be turning on that. All that to say, the pressure is rising super quickly as it relates to GameStop stock price, and I don't think they could on a random day they crash the price to $10. Sure, but you think the price is going to hold there? Like, you think they're going to be trading for half of their cash value? Like, no way they can stay there. Like, impossible. And so, dude, just like buy that dip. Not financial advice, but don't let the short-term suppression make you think that they can control the price forever. Because even the past 4 years, the first couple of those years, they were still really trading above fundamental value. It was still, to me, it was still worth a buy because I felt confident in Ryan Cohen's ability to eventually create that fundamental value. Like, you could see the trajectory. If you were a believer in GameStop, you could justify buying it at $45 a share in 2021 because you could see what was going to come. But you could also justify someone shorting that and saying that's way overvalued. They literally make negative $300 million as a business. Like, so it wasn't hard for them to suppress the stock back then, but yeah, to keep it low to where it's at cash, or particularly as sales continue to grow, or even if going below cash, it's like, no way. No way. Narwhal says overstock. I mean, I'm not really I'm not a specialist on overstock. I don't really want to talk about them, but the fact that they interact with GME on, like, I think anyone, it doesn't surprise me that they would want to be associated with GME. Like, you saw that with the AMC crew forever. They're like, GME and AMC, like the two best companies, right? What's up, dudes? GME and AMC, what's up, dude? AMC here too. Like, it's like, bro, like, you're not a part of this, like, so it doesn't mean a lot to me that another company that also has a lot of short interests would try to identify itself with GameStop. But you could be right. Like, there could be something there. I don't know anything about them, honestly. Not for real. I do shop at GameStop, J Crispy. The last two things I have bought, I go in every month. I'm a Power member, so I go in every month and try to buy something. I'm going to start shifting towards, I'm going to buy card grading, because the past things that I've bought from them have been cards, like packs of NFL cards, and then I've ripped them, and now I have all these packs, and I'm like, maybe I should just use my $5 to get them graded slightly cheaper. I also will get like action figures for my kids. I have a 6 and 4-year-old son. Well, two sons, two people. One is 6, one is 4. And so I'll go in and kind of get gifts for them. I'm not much of a gamer. I used to be a gamer, but I was pulling all-nighters on like Minecraft and Halo 2. And I'm like, shoot, I need to get this in check in my life. Madden, I was also a big Madden guy. Like on the GameCube, like Madden 2002, Super Smash, loved Super Smash, Battlefront 2, like enjoyed some of the mainstream popular games, a little bit of RPG, niche games too. Bot and Kaitos. Any of y'all know about Bot and Kaitos? Loved those games. But I have not gone back into gaming since those days in like 2012, because I was just putting way too much time into it. And I was like, I don't know how to do this in moderation. This is too fun for me. Thanks, Herman, saying he's a big fan and that I have great content. I appreciate that a bunch. And yeah, Frederick, thanks again for the super, dude. Thanks again. I think a lot of people know about it. The information is leaked, but again, the whole system, it's GameStop versus the world, legitimately. That's what I think. Braun says, cheers to no Discord. Yeah, no Discord over here, dude. I'm not going to do it. I don't even like it. I don't like it. And I don't want to be a cult. I have had my own experiences being involved in what ended up being kind of cultish, from a religious perspective, from a church involvement perspective. And I'm like, man, I do not have any interest in doing that again. Like, I don't want to relate to something with that type of codependence, that type of loyalty. And I don't want to, have that type of power. I don't want to be a leader of something like that either. Like when I'm leading my kids, leading my family, like I don't want them to relate to me like this authoritarian saint prophet that can never do any wrong. Like, I want to say sorry to them if I do something wrong. If I raise my voice and it wasn't fair, like I want to apologize to them for that. Even if it was fair, I want to apologize. Like I don't want to be a cult leader by any means. Trevor asks, what do I expect of the GME price next week? I think it's going to go up, dude. I think it's going to have a nice rally next week, honestly, especially leading into October 2nd. I think it might dip on October 3rd or October 6th after that warrant dividend is kind of netted out of the stock price. But the rally that it has Monday through Thursday might be strong enough to where even if it comes back a little bit on Friday, it still closes much higher above max pain than it had been, which could then let the rally continue to roll into the next week and week after week. So I'm excited for it. Yeah, Frederick says, makes sense. It's like 2008. It is. In 2008, you had artificially inflated assets through mortgage-backed securities, and everyone was in on the system to make these things look like they're worth way more than they should actually be worth. Now, in 2025, you have artificially deflated assets, artificially suppressed. So you have companies that should be worth way more than what they're trading at, but they're on the path to being seller boxed or, from the inside out being attacked towards bankruptcy. And the pop happened in 2008 when the value of those assets came crashing back to reality. And the pop's going to happen for us in 2025 when the inverse happens, when these artificially deflated assets, the coolest of which being GameStop, like races back to reality of what it should have been trading at as far as valuation this whole time. So anyways, that's kind of what I think is going to happen. I'm going to eat this perfect bar. And you like perfect bars. I'm going to give this, I'm going to stay on for a few minutes here. And man, I'm just curious to see, if it kind of comes back up again, like if it dips below this 32 and starts heading back down, or if we retest up here at 2660, just kind of watch the stock a little bit, talk the stock a little bit, eat a couple bites. And yeah, any questions, any comments, I'd love to hear it. And if we don't see anything, if there's no engagement, if y'all kind of like, all right, I think I'm done. And if the stock's not giving us anything to talk about, then we can shut it down and I can start recording a couple of videos that I can post a little later. Because I got all these windows. I got like 7 different windows of videos that I'm ready to make. And so I'm excited to make them. And I'm getting delayed on it because I did this live stream, which thanks y'all for joining me. Super awesome. Like 60, 80 y'all in here, 2.5 hours in. Like seriously, thanks so much on a Friday midday. I appreciate it. Thanks, Braun. Started buying in May 21. And he says he recommended my channel to his buddy. Favorite source of GME content. Man, thank you, dude. That's honestly so high praise. Like, I know I'm coming into this story from a video perspective, like a content creator perspective. I'm coming in super late. So it's honestly means a ton that you would say I'm your favorite GME content. I appreciate that for real. Trevor says there's value in 27 leaps, but mostly in shares. Guys, if I had been right in 2021, I would have so much money, dude. Like, if Moas had actually happened back then, like, holy crap, y'all. I took 500K and sent it into 125 strike January expiries. Who knows how many calls I held at that time? Like, holy crap, dude. But I was wrong. I was seriously like, I'm about to turn, even those couple of days when I had made up more than $1 million, I was like, I'm not selling anything. I'm about to turn this mill into 100 mil. And once I'm at 100 mil, then I'll sell some. I'll give away 60. I'll keep 40 because I'm humble. I'm only going to keep 40 mil. Dang, seriously, I had to sit down with my wife. Like, I was getting out a notebook. This is like December, 10th. And I'm like, look, we've got 3 weeks left in the year. Right. And I need to have a plan for taxes, right? If this blows up and all this is short term, like we need to know what we're going to do quick to make this money. Like I created a company that was like an opportunity zone investment company, which is this random like tax loophole thing. And I was like, okay, I can move money into this shell company that I just created. So then I won't owe any taxes on it for 7 years. And all I have to do is use some of it to buy some real estate, but I could just leave it in the fund. So I was like ready for Moaz. I'm like scheming it all. Like, here's who we're going to give to for like we were so ready. I'm like, we need to talk about this now because any day it's going to be boom, execution. And 3 weeks later, it's like, babe, we don't have any money. Oh, dang it. How much tinfoil do I think about for personal decisions? Nick says he's been there too. Thanks, Nick. I'm not a tinfoiler anymore because obviously I used to be. Like I've told y'all what I did in 2021. And honestly, part of why I thought I was positive is because of some tinfoil. And so now, like, I don't try to like read in between the lines, especially if the tinfoil is coming from some random Reddit account or some random Twitter account. If the tinfoil is coming from Ryan Cohen or GameStop or DFV, that's like it holds a little bit of merit. I'm like, okay, I might get a couple more calls, but I'm already 300% in. Like, if any of y'all wants to loan me $1 million, like I'll borrow it from you right now. Like literally I've got as much debt as I can raise. I will take it right now at this time, at this valuation of GME. But what am I trying to say? I'm already all in. So like, and I'm more than all in. So like if some tinfoil drops, it's like, what am I gonna do? Like I have nothing else, like what, like I, in 2023, I think, or no, 2024, or no, it was 23. I sold my car, which I had a big diesel truck. So I was working at a warehouse through another business I had started, like a liquidation store, like buying and selling return truckloads of pallets. But I'm like, I got to sell this because this truck is worth like 30 grand. And why would I have 30 grand sunk in a vehicle when I could put that into shares? I'm like, I got to sell this and then I can finance a different car. Like, I'll pay for this car over 7 years because I need every dollar that can be in is in. So all I'd say, tinfoil, it doesn't really affect me because I'm already zen. I'm already all in. But yeah, like if DFV comes today and he posts something that isn't like, not just like a picture of an ice cream cone, but like he says something that it's like, it's obvious that like, it's like he's being obvious. You know what I mean? Then maybe I would take some portion. The only thing I have to sell is GME. So the only thing I could do if I was getting super hype on tinfoil is be like, let me take a few of my shares and roll them into calls. But at this point, I'm about 5%, 8% calls, 92% shares, something like that. And I'm like, I kind of already have, like, I don't really want to be more than that calls. I don't want to be 50% calls. Like, even if Ryan Cohen posted, he's like, I personally guarantee GameStop will be $100 a share by next week. If he literally posted that, like, I don't think I'm running into calls. I'm like, look, I've already got some, and I don't want to get more because I've burned myself so many times. Like, I really have no business even having 1% calls based on my personal history, right? My inability to exit during moments of profit has been a kryptonite, So anyways, I don't read into tea leaves. If I did, it would be from Ryan Cohen or from GameStop or from DFE himself. But even that, I try to limit as much as I can because, again, I don't really have a track record that justifies trading like that, which some people do. For the options bros out there, like, props. I wish I was you. I tried to be you, and I lost all my money. Joke's on me. The swag says, what subject areas? Hey, Shane Michael, bro, welcome. It's okay that you're late. Glad you're here. And yeah, awesome morning, awesome start. Honestly, when they crashed it yesterday, I was like, okay, it's going to be a battle at 25. Like we're looking like we're going to close below max pain, and maybe we'll fight to finish at 25.5 or just barely above max pain. So, yeah, awesome start to be like, okay, let's start the conversation up here. You want to bring us back down, you can bring us down, but we're going to start up here. We green today. Exit strategy is tough. I don't have like exit strategy, like, yeah, I've talked about it a little bit on this live stream, but like, it's hard to say that here's my exit strategy because the fundamentals will change. You know, I'm not being that clear about this, but like, if GameStop is trading at $5,000 a share, it's like, well, tell me what's happened with the company. Tell me what's happened with Ryan Cohen. Tell me what's happened with Roy and Kitty. Tell me how much money they have. Like, why is it trading there? And maybe it's worth that now. Like, it's not worth that right now based on what we can see. But if it was trading there, there could be other variables that have changed to where that price is actually not a stretch, you know? So it's hard to just be like, oh, I'm going to sell at blank price. It's like you have to make your decisions based on the present reality, you know, and the present reality for GameStop right now is that it's really, in my opinion, severely undervalued. And see, says DFE is going to come back and just drop a 13G. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. I don't know when it's going to moon, Hugh. I wish I knew, but I'm done. I'm done trying to predict the exact time. Like I said, I did that in 2021. I tried again in 22, basically. And like, I don't know when, but what I know is this is already spicy AF, and it's going to get way spicier. Like, it's a really, really exciting time to own shares, in my opinion. But I don't know when it's going to moon. That's why I don't know what your question is about what subject areas. Not sure what you mean. Also, someone asked me what book I'm reading about CPTSD. It's like, oh, it's this one. Yeah. Pete Walker, From Surviving to Thriving. He wrote this like 11 years ago. This is the book I'm reading right now. I'm like 2/3 of the way through it. It's hard to read when I'm like, oh, but I could research the company. You know, I could make another tab on the spreadsheet. But I read probably a chapter a week or so, trying to take it slow. It's been good. I've been learning a lot. He's I don't know anything about him. I don't know if this is a controversial book or not. Not this is not financial advice. This is also not book advice. But someone asked me, what am I making? Also, channel update. Hey, look, we're up to $201. So basically, if that's 8 shares of GME, y'all have basically already raised like $10 million for the channel. So way to go. Super excited to get this infinity pool going. And up to 1590 subs. About to cross 16. And we got our sights on 2K. I bet we can get to 2K. I bet we could. So thanks so much for the channel support. I did have for a minute there some people coming in to some of my videos and just giving me a bunch of dislikes and making negative comments and stuff. So hopefully that doesn't happen forever. But also, if there's haters, then I guess maybe that's a good thing too. I don't know. But that said, if y'all want the content to continue, then just keep engaging, because if I start putting out a bunch of like, I don't care about how much money the channel makes. I don't care about how many subs there are. But if the sub count just plummets to where we're back at 400, and if the views on my videos plummet to where we're getting 39 views, then that's just the internet's way of telling me that, like, bro, no one wants to watch this, So like, and that would be fine with me. Like, some people have been like prophesying my doom in the comments, like, this guy will never make it as a YouTuber. And I'm like, look, you could be right, dude. Like, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a financial advisor. This is the lowest quality YouTube video on the internet, dog. Like, I totally might not make it. And you know what would happen if I didn't make it as a YouTuber, guys? I would stop making YouTube videos and I would just go back to my life exactly how it was. I'm going to keep analyzing the stock for myself and for my clients like I already was. and I'm going to keep going on long walks and enjoying my long afternoons at coffee shops because I don't have to work for anyone else. And that includes you guys, you know? But if y'all are here for it, I'm here for it. I don't care how much money it makes. It's not about how big can the channel get, but as long as there's like some people that are benefiting, I'm super, super happy to keep covering the stock. And again, I'm still going to cover the stock in my own life. But if the YouTube channel fails, that just means I'm going to stop broadcasting my research of the stock, you know, and that's fine with me. I'm not here to like prove myself through my YouTube channel. But it's been cool, honestly. Like I'm super thankful. Like I hope I get to keep making videos, honestly. Like super cool. Like you kidding me? $200? Like for me, that's a lot of money. I know you might not think it's a lot because I have a lot of shares, but I told you I got 2-to-1 debt on the shares. Like I don't like my company does not make $1 million a year. You know, like I don't like I live in a apartment with my family. You know, like we don't like to think about I could just share my research and actually make some money and then roll that money into direct registered shares, which we know are going to be worth like $1 trillion. Like I'm super grateful for that opportunity. I don't take it for granted. And so anyways, just thank you so much for the subs. Thank you for the watch time. You know, thank you for the engagement. It means a super, super bunch to me. I appreciate it a lot, guys. Hey, thanks for the love. Some people saying this is the best channel on GameStop fundamentals. Thanks, not negative banana. I bought a banana cat. That was back when my son was 2, I think. I was like, I'm gonna buy him a stuffed animal for Christmas. He was like, what is this? I'm like, it's a cat inside of a banana. Like, what do you mean? What is it? And so anyways, it was fun. We moved last year and he was pretty worn at that point, but I'm all here for the banana cats for sure. Shane Michael asked, oh, this is a great question. He says, heck yeah, for the earnings. Thanks so much for the love, dude. He says, are you going to be able to use the YouTube funds before the dividend date? Here's what I'm trying to do. And I'm waiting on a letter from ComputerShare because I'm trying to open a new ComputerShare account that can be the BudgetForLife Infinity Pool. And what I'm trying to do is transfer shares now for the earnings that I'm going to get. And I'm trying to get that done before the record date so that we can have our own warrants as a channel too. Excuse me. But I don't know like if I'm going to be able to get it done yet. Like I'm still waiting on that letter. But usually like on the months rolling forward, I'm just going to wait till I actually get paid the money and then put the money in. But because of this record date, I'm like, man, I'll just go ahead and do it now and then reimburse myself after the fact because I really want the warrants. But again, I don't necessarily have any money. It's just transferring shares. You know, like let me just contribute some of my infinity pool to the channel infinity pool, and then the channel can pay mine back or whatever. So I'm trying to donate some of my own warrants to the channel, but we'll see if it happens in time. I hope it does. Haters are bound to happen. Keep your head high. Head high. I appreciate it. Hey, in real life though, my head's pretty low. I am 5'5". I'm one of the shortest men you've ever seen. If y'all saw me in real life, you'd be like, dang, that dude is small. And I would say, yeah, dude. 5'5", dude. That's why I married a woman who's 5'6", so that I can help out my sons. I'm like, y'all are going to be at least 5'8". I'm setting up the next generation over here, y'all. Simon says, love the content. Braun says, your channel's golden. He said, I bet your channel's over 10K subs in no time. Dude, that would be cool. Aren't y'all curious? Like, if I was, like, how much is that going to make? You know, like, our infinity pool is going to be flying. And if my channel already just existing for a couple days, have only been monetized for like a week, if it's already made like 200 bucks, like how much money y'all think some of those YouTubers out there are making with 15, 20, 25,000, 100,000 subs? Like crazy to think about, but y'all are going to get to see it. Like I'm literally going to keep, I'm going to keep being vulnerable about it. And so you'll get to see like how much the channel's raising, and you'll get to see every dollar go into ComputerShare. So super cool. Yeah, Simon says you're going to get engagement, but you're going to get hate as well. That's what I'm learning. I'm trying to stay chill about it. I'm trying to learn from it, not reduce myself down to it. Not Negative Daniel says, preach. YouTube is a side thing. We have real jobs, unlike YouTubers. That is true. I have a real job. I have a real company. You can look it up. It's registered, like with the state securities department. You know, like, just swag. So, anyways, I am not in any way interested in closing my firm, even if YouTube was paying me like $1 million a day. I'm like, look, I made a commitment to my clients before I ever made a commitment to you guys. But hey, that could be a cool goal. It's like, what if one day, like YouTube's, it's gonna be a while. Y'all aren't even close right now. But what if one day y'all could surpass the value of my firm? I don't know if that's ever going to really be able to happen, but that would be props to you guys if y'all are like, you became the main thing. I still will not be a professional YouTuber, even if this channel makes a ton of money, but that'd be pretty funny for my clients. If any of them try to treat me bad, I'll be like, look, here's the thing. I know you're my client, but you're really the side thing. All right. You need to get in line. And then I'd be over here like, Banana's got my back. All right. No, I'm not trying to do wrong by any of my clients. And I'm a real guy, real job, no doubt. He was saying, oh, what videos? It's a lot, dude. It's a lot. I don't even want to talk about them, because then I'm just going to talk about the whole video, and I don't want to give it away, 500 million profit for full year 2025. I'm assuming you're talking about GameStop, not my channel anymore. Yeah, 500 million profit. Like we're gonna project this out, but yes, I would be very surprised if they don't make over 500 million in 2025. Michael says, oh, hey, shout out to Swag. Shout out for mental health awareness. For real, dude. It's a real thing, man. I didn't think I like growing up, I didn't really feel like I struggled with mental health. And I'm relatively mentally stable. Like I have ADHD, but I'm unmedicated. So I'm just out here in the wild, but I didn't perceive that I had like any type of mental struggles until a couple years ago, when I realized 2 years ago, when just life wasn't working as well. I'm like, something's not going right. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think something's wrong. And I've learned a ton about myself since then. And honestly, once my life happens, like I can't wait to get some more frequent therapy, I've gotten to go to counseling sometimes, but I'm not like trying to sign up for that every week or even every month right now. Cause I'm trying to stay lean and mean on the budget to try to buy as many shares as I can. Right. But that's like the first thing on my, like, oh, if my firm grew to this, like right now I manage like 6 million assets. Like, okay, if I was managing 10 million, then I would be making blank. I'm like, man, the first thing I would love to fit into our monthly budget is like for me to be able to do counseling more frequently. But for me, it's not necessarily like acute trauma like this. There's not anything like super bad that happened to me in this one moment, but I'd say just like more like kind of like lack of affection, like growing up, like just, it would be hard to say like I was abandoned. I wasn't like abandoned, but there just wasn't a lot of like interaction. I was just like alone, and alone with ADHD is just like, there's just parts of me that are like, man, am I valuable as a human being? Like, and why do I react to this situation like that? And so anyways, it's been super cool. I know TMI, y'all probably don't care about this stuff, but I'm a raw dude. MC said, you did all this without Adderall? Yeah, I did. I did. I made it this far. Oh, I've never had Adderall. I've had Advil. I've had Advil. You know, even that I try only like to reduce fever symptoms, but usually I just try to go through it. I just try to go through the fever. Be like, it's going to be over soon enough. Oh, this is cool. Michael said that the GameStop's in-game is here. Oh, that's cool. He said he almost doubled his position after watching the in-game video and subbed for the long haul. Thank you so much. And Braun says that my videos about the minimal risk convince his wife to up her position. Bro, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I'm not here to tell anyone to buy it, but I want people to make the best decision for themselves. And I feel like if I can give you the data, then you can make the best decision. And right now, the data is better than people realize. And so much of the info out there is so hype driven that if you're not on the hype train, it's like that doesn't help you, you know. But to see the numbers, to see the fundamentals, and be like, shoot, I think this guy, like, honestly, even if you don't trust me, it's like the numbers speak for themselves. Even if you don't trust Ryan Cohen, the numbers speak for themselves. So that's awesome, dude. That my illustrations were able to help you guys make decisions that you're happy with is super rewarding for me, for sure. Banana. Hey, thanks, MC. He said, I have a good moral fabric and someone raised me well. It's true. My parents are super like downhearted, good people. And I also had mi mamá número dos from El Salvador. She'd make us pupusas and, you know, kept us alive while my parents were both working for a lot of my childhood. And, but all great hearted people, you know? So I'm really thankful. And yeah, I'm a good dude. I'm genuinely a good person. I'm not saying I've never made a mistake in life. I've already told you about some of my mistakes, but generally a well-meaning guy. Jay Crispy says, up and coming channel, need to add a few things. Right, yeah. We need to add a few things, but I'm going to make the channel earn it, you know? I know I need to get a monitor, but I'm going to make the channel earn it. All the channel earnings, okay, 100% of the channel earnings are going to go to the channel's DRS shares, which someone asked me, what do you mean by infinity pool? I really just mean shares of GME held on computer share that are in book form that I have no intention to ever sell. That's what I mean by infinity pool. So all the channel's earnings are going towards that. None of them are going to directly cover even channel expenses. But if I'm going to spend my money on stuff to help the channel, I want it to be money that the channel has made. Even though the channel's not paying for it, psychologically, I'm like, if I'm going to buy a monitor, I don't want to go get a $5,000 monitor because the channel hasn't told me that it's worth that investment yet. You know what I mean? But if the channel demand is like, look, this is what the channel's making, then that will help me take some of my money, not the channel's money, but some of my money and say, okay, I'm going to keep investing in this because you guys have said that you want that, you know? So I don't want to just go out here and spend a bunch of money just because, oh, it'll make the videos more entertaining. And it's like, okay, yeah, but if without the entertainment value, without the production value, if just from a pure company analysis perspective, there's not enough people that care about the raw story, then I don't really care about making the story more interesting or entertaining. But if there's a lot of people that care about the raw, then like I'm totally willing to continue to invest in myself to make the numbers as engaging as possible. Totally open for that, but we got to earn it over time for sure. But thanks, Jay Crispy, for saying I'm an up and coming channel. Shane Michael says he's here for it. I'm the short GME king or the long short king. Hey, dude, that's a good correction, MC. It's like, wait, you can't call me a short king because I'm not short GME. I'm long. I'm a long short king. So funny. Yeah, the stock is at an interesting point. Honestly, if we just hold it up 26, like I'm happy for today. Don't get me wrong. I always want it to blow up. I think that's the most fun for me and for my clients, Thanks to Swag. He said he loves the channel already. And then I'm stacking GME on all fronts. Yeah, we got GME for clients. We got GME for me. Got GME for the channel, right? Whatever way I can find it. Let's get some of those shares, baby. Frederick says my videos are the reason why he's buying even more shares. Thank you so much. The Swag says, do you do buy me a coffee? As a social worker, I can approve of therapy. This channel helps me. Hey, thanks, dude. Thanks for that comment. I don't know what your question means. Do you do buy me a coffee? Is that like a way that I can give like a super chat a name? Like, oh, if you super chat $8, then I'll net $6, and then you bought me a coffee. Is that what that means? You got to teach me. If there's ways I need to monetize, you got to teach me how to do it. I'm not afraid of monetization. I just want to be upfront about what I'm making and what I'm doing with the money. And I think that's the way that I keep myself authentic with you guys. There will be some people that say because I monetize that therefore I'm not legit, and they can have their opinion. To me, I think, again, if we can create win-wins where you win and I win and the company wins, then I think that's the best case scenario. I don't think you want a scenario where I don't make any money ever, because then it's not going to last. Like, I can't keep it up forever. I literally won't be able to, right, if it doesn't make any money. And so if I'm making money and how I'm using that money to where it feels legit, it feels authentic, right? You're getting value, you're getting education, entertainment, you're getting some information, some data to help you make better decisions, right? The company's benefiting from it because other people are also getting that information and entertainment. The company's getting some good coverage, right? Some leaning positive coverage while still being fair and analytical. And then obviously people are buying, I'm buying the shares and taking them off of Seed and Co. and bringing it to the infinity pool. Like, I just think it's a win all around. So all I'd say, let me know what buy me a coffee means. If I need to do that. Thanks to Swag. He says, we love your hard, unmedicated work. Let's go. Just give me facts, no special effects. Give me the facts. Just tell me the facts. Tell me what I need to know. Mr. Beakers, thanks. Says, I enjoy what you're doing right now. Thanks, dude. Thank you so much. And Brian says, Swag says, I've also added a bunch of shares because you helped me learn something new. That's awesome. That makes me feel good. Makes me feel happy for you. Bron says it's like donating to a charity or shopping at the store. Brilliant. Yeah, totally. This channel, there's 100%. This channel is like good for the company. And you're talking about donating to a charity. Like, this company is good for society. Like, GameStop's trying to fix a systemic problem, right? If they blow up and the market crashes, we might actually get a new market. We might actually get a fair market. We might actually get a blockchain-based securities market, right? That's like if we could end at least a portion of the corruption out there through this story, I mean, what would you rather, what else would you want to donate to, after hundreds of thousands of people that have lost jobs for artificially bankrupted companies, right? People in suits and some random tall skyscrapers making millions of dollars a year off of not even the sweat off of other people's back, but off the demise of other companies. Like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of changing that forever? You know what I mean? Like, GameStop is not just an awesome fundamental company, but it is an awesome cause to be involved in right now, for sure. And yeah, my channel's you'll know, if I ever do a whatever, if I come out with some hit pieces on GME and I start spewing lies and I talk about the data in a way that doesn't make sense, or the data is false, then you'll know, okay, this dude is not a good channel anymore. Unsub your memberships. We got to get out of here. You know what I mean? Okay, they say buy me a coffee is like a donate button on my channel. So I'll look into that. But I think right now the only ways are like you could be a fan or a member, or if you wanted to donate on a one-time basis, you can always do like a super thanks. I think you can do that on videos too, just like a one-time thing. But I think there's enough way. I'm not. I think there's a lot of ways the channel's already monetized. I'm not trying to like add a ton. Also, let me know, guys, like how the ads go. Like, because all I do on mine is I just press this button that's like show ads. I don't know where they're putting them. I don't know how often they're getting put on videos. Personally, I use YouTube Premium, so like I don't even see ads when that happens. What's up, Sold Out? Welcome to the fans, dude. Super pumped to have you, man. Super excited. Yeah, thank you a ton. If you ever want to buy merch, the discount code is on a members only post on my YouTube channel. So super pumped to have you. I don't know what I was saying. Maybe something about how I don't need to monetize anymore. There's enough ways. I think that's what I was saying. Man, Power Packs launch, I just can't wait. There's so many reasons why that business is way more epic than we realize. I'm gonna make some videos on it for sure. Herman says, love your analysis on max, risk, etc. Good work, man. Keep it up. Thanks, Herman. I appreciate it, dude. I'm out here working for sure. Paul says he spotted Keith in Utah. Is that a real story? Did you really see him in real life? I'm jelly, dude. Like, I wouldn't get starstruck if I met Justin Bieber in real life or some other random celebrity or star that I don't personally like infatuate over. Like, he's fine. I'm not like anti Justin Bieber, but I'm just like, if I saw someone like that, I'd be like, what's up, dude? Like, how's it going? Like, I feel like I would be able to treat them like a normal person. But if I saw Ryan Cohen or Keith Gill in real life, I'd be like so starstruck, y'all. I'd be like, can I shake your hand? Like, am I allowed to touch you? Like, this is crazy, you know? Anyways, I'm definitely fans of what they've meant. Jay Christie says, GME, your side piece. It's the main squeeze. I mean, my wife, is like, my wife's different. Like, my loyalty to her is far above my loyalty to a stock. But in the world of stocks, in the world of investments, it's definitely the main show. Benania says, are you saying we should run on Fartcoin on blockchain for the stock market? I don't even know what Fartcoin is, dude. Is that a real thing? No, I'm not trying to say that. No, I would not feel the same way if I met Jim Cramer, dude. I would not be starstruck if I met Jim Cramer. I'd be kind of sussed out. I'd be like, okay, let's see how this interaction is going to go. Like, like I'm relatively skeptical of the man, Jim Cramer. I think he's kind of shown that he's a really entertaining personality. Sometimes has analysis or opinions that are like insightful, but I think for the most part, like I wouldn't want him to nanny my kids. If my wife and I were going on a date night, I wouldn't be like, go stay at Jim's house. Paul, don't mention that man's name, dude. I don't want to talk about him. I don't. But no, I wouldn't be starstruck. I'd be, yeah. Paul says he's 5'2", little bro with a little something. Hey, your friends need to be nicer, dude. They don't know what you got. They don't know what you're working with, bro. They don't know your package, dude. You kidding me? All right, I'm gonna leave that there. In-house. Yeah. He says, as long as you're investing back into GME, he's supporting me in the content. Yeah, dude. Literally 100% of it going straight in. So, for sure. And then, yeah, my personal money is going into the stock and into the company as well. Definitely a genuine supporter of the company and have been since 2021. It's a lot easier to now. They have way more stuff that they sell that I want. Like this PSA thing is like, it's epic for people like me because I'm like, I can spend a lot of money here now. Back in 2021, I was trying to like get Christmas gifts for my family from GameStop, and I'm like it was hard. I'm like, dang, like I guess I can get my brother like a Snorlax mug, you know, and like, and I did, and he opened it and he laughed, and then he left it at my parents' house. Like he didn't even take it home with him. I'm like, dang, I'm sorry, but now they have so much awesome stuff, you know, like it's exciting as a customer of the business for sure. Um, Braun says he finds Jim hilarious. He's funny, dude. Like like there's a reason he's been so successful in TV. You know, he's funny, entertaining to listen to when he talks companies. Um, Hinhouse says you can easily meet him somewhere. Yeah, I don't know how or when, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. If I talk for enough years about the fundamentals of GME, shoot, maybe he would be like one of us. You know. Sold out. Thanks. He says, you sound like a decent person trying to help folks. Keep sharing knowledge, keep faith, and you'll go far, brother. Thanks, dude. Thanks, dude. That's the plan. Oh, Paul's. Okay, Paul. I'll leave that there, dude. Okay, going back to work. Till next time. Hey, that would be super cool to go to a shareholder meeting in person one day. That'd be super cool. Paul, I'm not expecting any news after hours. I'm not. I don't know why there would be, but that'd be cool. You know, man, back in 2021, it was like the tinfoil was so foily. It was all, and I fell for all of it. They're like, this day is the 474th anniversary of the discovery of the moon. And we're having moon party on this day, which means that means that GameStop's going to go to $10 million a share, you know, and I'm like, it makes so much sense, you know, like I can see how that would make, you know, I'm just like, I try to avoid the like hyper speculation at this point because it's like, what's actually going on with the actual company? You know what I mean? Like, what are they actually doing? Even Ryan Cohen, like in 2021, he had this quote: moving forward, we want you to judge GameStop based on our actions, not our words. You know, so like I'm trying to make my channel focus on what are the actions of GameStop on the financials and what are the actions of GameStop as far as what they are communicating as far as their business growth, deployment of capital, etc. And I'm trying to weed out most of the technicals focus and most of the kind of meme focus. Not that those don't have value. Like I'll dabble in them every now and then if I think there's some merit, but it's not what I'm best at. All right, guys. Hey, we've been here for 3 hours and 20 minutes. Thank you guys so much for riding through, for a couple of you guys joining the channel. I appreciate it a lot. Seems like the stock's kind of cooled off, so I'll probably let that be where it is. We'll see where it closes today. Exciting stuff. If it's ever going crazy, I'll try to hop on a live stream just so we can enjoy it together. But no guarantees because sometimes I'm going to be doing other stuff because I got people that I work for, you know, people that have hired me. And so if it's going off crazy, I might be like, shoot, I need to go hit some client accounts real quick. You know, like I might not be able to YouTube it, but this morning was kind of mild, but still kind of fun. Hey, thanks guys for being here. Cheers to all you guys. Carl, bro. Hey, came here to see you say goodbye. Thanks for being here, dude. I guess after this gets processed by YouTube, it'll get posted to my channel. So there's some good stuff in here, some good nuggets. Honestly, you might want to watch through some of this. Some good conversation points, talking the stock. Yeah, reverse Kramer, not a bad investing strategy. Andrew Don asked me about fair price. We talked a little bit about fair price, and it's a fair price for sure. I'd say is about 5 times where it's at right now, maybe more right now, and the fair price is going to keep going up the more and more they execute. So I'll say not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research, all of that stuff. Okay, let's go eat some lunch or something, guys. See y'all later. Talk to y'all in the next one. I got some videos coming out maybe later today and over the coming days. So keep educating yourselves, make the best decisions for you. We'll talk soon. Later, dudes.